What's up, everybody? It's Friday, and it's SHIRO Show. I'm SaturnDave,
Oh
and
yeah, that's good stuff.
my buddy
man.
TraynoCo. How are you doing?
Good stuff. Doing all right. Just hanging in there. Been taking a lot of L's this week, so I'm hoping that's not next week. So, but it's all good.
Folks in the
All
chat.
good.
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to talk over you. I just meant to let us know in the chat if the video is like having problems, because I know on my end my internet's a little spotty today. So
You're looking good.
Okay,
You're looking
good.
You're not blowing your mess on my end. So
it's just that my son
you'll
is
stay that way.
my son is streaming Netflix in the other room, so I know that on the download side it's not great, but we should be good on upload. Folks will just have to let us know. Anyway,
As long
yeah.
as it doesn't cut into like Stranger Things or something, we're all good.
Yeah, exactly. It's stranger. More like for him, I don't know. It's probably Pokemon or something like that. What have you been up to this week?
Nothing much. Just playing a couple of games. Been trying to get through Soccer Wars on the PS4. That's a long game. I think I'm a quarter way through it. I've been playing it like almost every night before bed for like an hour or two.
Would you say that's the best soccer game on the Saturn? Soccer
No,
Wars?
it's on the PS4.
Oh, okay. Best soccer game on the soccer RPG.
Soccer Wars. Yeah, it's the best Soccer Wars game on the PS4. But I'm hearing rumors that there's gonna be a sequel, so there's gonna be Soccer Wars 2: Revenge
Nice.
of Pele. So
Revenge of Pele. Nice. Yeah.
that's gonna be number 2. But besides, that's all good with that. I've been trying to play some more Saturn stuff. But you know, it's been hard. I've been really busy with stuff, but I'm hoping with this next cast coming up, I'll be able to play a lot of Saturn stuff.
Yeah, I'm hoping too. We're recording this Saturday, and it's kind of like a top secret. For the most part, it's not the extreme sports thing that we planned on doing. It's kind of like a little impromptu idea that we all had. Kind of top secret, but it's going to be awesome.
We're interviewing Tony Hawk. Nice.
Tony Hawk. About the game that never came out on the Saturn. No, that's not what we're doing. But no, it's going to be rad. Once everybody finds out what it is, I think folks are going to like it. But aside from that, we will be doing extreme sport, winter sports or whatever after that. So that's going to be fun. That's going to give us a lot to play. Today,
Tony Hawk, though,
in the live stream or in the live game stream, we're going to be playing Choro Q Park and having a little fun with that. But before we do, you like how everything
kind of cool.
All the green
like
is keyed out. See my
it's
face.
Really cool. It's like, imagine if that was like the real cover of that.
Yeah, I know, right? Wouldn't that be rad? But yeah, so we're going to be doing some of that. But before we do, we're going to get right into the news. We'll bring up our browser here. We've had, as I scroll through here, you can see we've had a bit of news.
A lot of bit
to talk about. Yeah, so we ended off last stream talking about those Yakuza 0 LPs.
I did order that, by the way.
You did order it?
Yeah, I did.
Cool.
I mean,
Nice.
I want Bakami Tai, so yeah, I ordered that.
Awesome. So yeah, I had reached out a week or two ago to Ponut about talking about game development, talking about ponies, equal rights, fair representation for ponies. And he had quite a bit to say. I mean, he didn't have as much to say as XL2, who gave me a pretty lengthy interview. But what he did have to say is, he commented about the whole Smokey Dops thing. I guess that was just kind of an unfortunate name that he had, in his youth or whatever. That's something that he tried out for a moment and decided.
I think we all had one of those where we have like the cool like owner man, like I owned you or something.
I did the same exact straight edge thing that he did with the XX name. XX,
yeah.
That was
SaturnDave.
That
XX.
was the early 2000s for you. Yeah, I love this. His one name he had was Easy to Target. That would totally be me.
I would just want too easy.
Yeah, but he's one of those guys that has always been interested in changing things up and doing different things, but always interested in like board games, Talisman board games, making games in school. He just mentions getting into games like Doom and Duke early on, and interest in FPS games. He was didn't even know what a Saturn was, I guess, in 2018.
Yeah, no, it was saying like
Yeah.
until 2018 he got. I definitely can relate to that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can't relate, but I always think that it's amazing that people are like not just getting into Saturn late, but like really getting into it enough that they're like, I'm gonna develop for this machine. It's crazy. Like
Getting deep into it.
I know, right? So he posted up this little flying demo that he had, you know, showing geometric shapes flying and going through like a bit of a course, you know, like an obstacle course kind of thing that he was.
Kind of reminds me of Star Fox.
Yeah, has that definite feel to it. So he was just coming to grips with like the VDP2 for the floor and everything. And I guess this was with FETs. This was with the Joe engine that he was doing this. And it is my understanding that from the last article that we did with XL2 that he made like a model exporter or importer for him to be able to import 3D models into the Saturns, into Saturn code. So that's cool. They've been working together for a while now. And the games that impacted him, I guess, are, he mentioned Tribes. Have you played Tribes? I'm like
I played a little
familiar
bit back
with
in the
it.
day.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of Ascend. It's kind of like just a massive capture the flag, fast-paced game. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's the kind of the impression I got. I was familiar with it, but have never touched it. So, yeah, but I can definitely see, having played quite a bit of Pony Game for that stream that we did before, I can kind of see how it has. It kind of resembles that. It's not first person, obviously, but it has some of the same feels when it comes to, you know, jumping around and all the physics and stuff like that.
For real.
He has a sense of humor, of course, and his priorities for the game are safe ponies, cute ponies, happy ponies, unshakable frame rate, and ponies.
So did you do this art, or is this just art he had that he gave you?
Oh, this is just art I threw together. I figure, you know,
Jeez.
like do it justice. You know, if you're gonna have an interview about a guy named Ponut doing games about ponies, you know, you ought to go all the way, right? No, it was no big deal. I was just like, had an idea and I was like, let's do this. Anyway, yeah,
Fair.
you can kind of see this early demo of the pony running around. This was like pre-textured polygons for the pony, and you can kind of see some of the, you know, some of the terrain. I guess he's using like height maps or terrain maps for that. Then a later demo showing he's got some music pumping there. He's got some simple like geometry for trees and stuff, and some loops that you jump through here. So still using a lot of what you could see before from that little 3D fly-through demo, using a lot of that to get this
code and
going.
stuff, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, what more can I really say? I mean, he was pretty concise when it just comes to, you know, like what he, you know, that the Saturn is kind of a pain to program for, but yeah, you have to know how to program in C, and you have to be a doer. Of course,
Yep.
being
That's
able
the
to
way it
program,
is.
I mean, I imagine anybody who could program the Saturn in assembly probably knows C as well. But I mean, yeah, I don't think anybody's doing the assembly thing these days, you know?
Yeah, I think C is just more accessible for
Definitely.
for design. I mean, it's just a little bit easy to learn. You don't have to worry about assembly code. You don't have to dig as deep. But I know that assembly is
Yeah.
good for debugging though as well with this stuff.
Chances are, though, most people who get interested these days probably are going to be C people, you know? Like, I mean, what are the chances that you got some guy who's like really knows assembly who gets interested in
I see what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's like C is a pretty universal language, or much more so. But anyway, yeah, you know, greatest challenges, I guess, was learning that floating points are evil, and basically optimization. You know, working on optimization, research and development, coding his own tools. He recently developed Pwn Sound, which is his own sound driver, which is open source and folks are using, which is cool. And then, you know, sharing tools in the community. You know, again, that Saturn's architecture is he joked, why don't you just replace it with a Pentium? That was his meme post, is just replace the CPU with a Pentium and call it good, right?
Just like solder it on between both
an
of them
MMX
and hope it works.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Thank you, Ponut, for giving us this information. Thank you for speaking about your game. I realize that at this point it's not yet completely a game, and so he didn't have a lot to say about features and implementation because it's not that far in terms of what it is. I guess he's still considering it a demo, and he just kind of called it Pony Game for the competition, but it's going to keep making progress, and so we'll keep looking back at it and hopefully downloading updates and maybe even streaming it again. And again,
I had a lot of fun playing it.
And again, he spoke to the fact that VBT is a part of the community and that is an important deal because VBT is very well respected. He's been working on Saturn, I think, for close to 20 years. Something like that. He's been working in proximity or on Saturn coding for like 20 years. He's been in the Saturn or the Sega community for a long time, helping folks. He's kind of what they call their French mad scientist or something like that. He's the dude that did the Garfield, the spinning Garfield.
Yeah, I remember the spinning Garfield, the best game in the competition.
But he also does a bunch of emulation stuff. Like he got the whole what was it? Was it Final Burn? Or it was the
Final Burn Neo, the emulator.
Exactly. That ran so many awesome games, and it ran them really well. So
yeah.
To do that,
it was pretty impressive.
It was very impressive. I ranked it high on my list. I can say for one, speaking for myself, I thought that it was very impressive. So I'm just glad that there's folks like that are hugely knowledgeable and not just knowledgeable, but not too cool for school and willing to help folks, because it's easy now for a newbie with a little bit of knowledge to like join the Sega Extreme Discord server and ask questions, and folks are going to answer your questions. And there's a ton of helpful people on there. So if you're even kind of interested in programming for Saturn and you don't know where to start, I would definitely recommend downloading Joe Engine, because several people have now said that it's a great place to get started, get the ball rolling.
And then check out Emerald Nova's tutorials on his website too.
Yeah, Emerald Nova has done tons of streams. He's done a ton of Twitch streams. He's got a website with like the who's who of Saturn development. He's got tutorials. He's working with what is it? Interactive, Zeo Interactive. I'm not saying that right, am I?
I think it's Xenos
Interactive. That's right. He's working with an artist, Xenos Interactive, who does like the modeling and stuff like that, and even he does like live stream tutorials, or at least live streams of how he does the modeling and stuff like that. So there's just a ton of resources for folks who are interested in getting into Saturn development. So if you're thinking about it, but you're just kind of like too shy about it because you're just thinking it's going to be too much work. I mean, it's definitely going to be work, but it can be done, and there's plenty of people to help you, and there's open source tools like the
and
y'all.
Once you're on that ball, you could just like keep going with it.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. It's like people dip their toe in, and then it just, one thing leads to another, and like 4 years down the road, you're like, you've got a game together, and if you're doing it in your free time and you're not making money, that's probably how long it's going to take. But if you're okay with that, unless you're just like a really brilliant coder or something like that, and you just, I don't know, have a really quick pipeline. Yeah, not me at all. I know a little Python, and that's it. Definitely can't do a Saturn game in Python, I don't think.
Yeah, we'll work on that interpreter later, though.
Yeah. Well, we released a podcast, and folks should know about it by now, because I mean, we've been playing pinball games for the last month.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
Fun.
Nick edited it. He did a good job.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. I definitely think that my favorite games have to be the pinball games. The digital pinball games are like the best ones. Yeah,
the Saturn has a ton. It has a ton of pinball games. More than half of them are decent or good. Some of them are absolutely great. They're like, I would say that the Necronomicon and Last Gladiators aren't just the best digital pinball games on Saturn. They're the best digital pinball games up to that point, released up to that point. I would argue.
Yeah, they still hold over. They still hold over well. You know, like
Yeah.
they still aged well per se. Like I'm gonna be honest. I was surprised that usually my pick is the Japanese weird game, but this one it wasn't. Like I definitely think I prefer the Necronomicon and Last Gladiator over over the Fantastic Pinball for sure.
Yeah, I was kind of caught off guard by that, but I know like good control just can't be beat. Like when a game has really, really good control, it's kind of hard to one up that, even if it's just, you know, like Fantastic Pinball Kyukentai has it where it counts when it comes to like aesthetic and anime, you know, all that stuff. But I mean, the game itself, like you said, it's kind of floaty. It's not to be taken too seriously when it comes to actual pinball physics. And so for that, like the Kaze games are just fire, especially the music, you know. I think that's the takeaway for me, was just that if you pump that soundtrack on a really good sound system, it just like it's the experience, you know.
I was actually listening to that at work the other day.
Yeah, and Nick included quite a bit of that music in the podcast episode, so I was really happy about that, so that folks could like get a sense for like how good that music is.
Yeah, and the cool thing I liked is that I think it was on Necronomicon that the voice the singer kind of sounds like Bruce Dickinson,
really?
from Iron Maiden a little bit.
Yeah, I guess I can kind of see that. I'm not a huge I'm not really big into Iron Maidens, but I know enough to know what you're talking about. So yeah, I mean it's everywhere. It's on Apple, it's on Pocket Casts, it's on whatever.
It's on YouTube with video.
Exactly. If you go to the YouTube link, you can actually watch footage of the games. You put that in there, right, Pat?
Yeah, that's sort of what I've been doing for the video thing, because I know
that's awesome.
I know it's not sustainable to do like full video things, but I think as long as we can have just little video snippets of it.
Yeah, I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah, so it's an easy thing, just to record footage, just shove it on there.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes such a big difference too, because when we were recording, I kind of tried to fire up some of the games so that while we're talking about it, we're kind of thinking about what it was that we liked or didn't like about the game. And I know it helped me because in the past, I've been trying to speak on games from memory. And sometimes it's just, even if I played it recently, I remember more things, you know, when I'm actually like looking at the game footage.
Exactly. And I'm thinking, and I like it because people will be able to look at it like, okay, this is the game. This is what it looks like. Oh, this looks kind of fun. Yeah. Maybe I should pick this up, or maybe I should ignore it. Yeah.
My out of left field surprise for this one was Pinball Graffiti.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, I really do. I am planning on picking up a physical copy, although it's not cheap anymore, but it's not super expensive yet. So I'm just gonna try to be patient and find a good deal, and then I'm gonna be grabbing that one. So I recommend that if folks haven't played Pinball Graffiti and they just saw some YouTube footage and they thought it looked a little janky, just burn a copy or put it on your ODE and play it, and you'll see what I mean. Like, it feels good. Next up, we've got we're into like the unreleased game territory.
Oh my gosh, what was going on this week?
Well, first off, I need to shout Mr. Burns on Sega Extreme. He's over in the Sega Extreme Discord server, and he's just posting regularly on the site. Shouts to Mr. Burns. You're like the guy when it comes to like digging up obscure news. You're just always on the ball, and so I have to shout you and say thanks, because he brought this to our attention. And this was actually a tweet that went live on like April 20th, I guess. So it was kind of old by the time that we found out about it, but I guess that's how long it took to circulate the interwebs. But basically, it was
kind of funny because like Ian from the CU podcast brought it up, or the guys from the CU podcast brought that up, and I think it was me and a couple others, like, we were listening to that. I was like, wait, what is he talking about? We were thinking, oh, he probably just saw old footage, or like he found something and he thought it was new, but we were completely wrong. Is that he actually he must have saw that, and because they didn't put any video footage of it, or they didn't have any links to it. So I was like, what are you talking about?
Oh, okay. That's no, I mean, I even I have no idea if this guy is gonna, if a bunch of people are gonna like reach out to him and he might pull the tweets or something like that. So I went ahead and like downloaded every video that he posted, and I like I basically hosted them on our website because I want to make sure that even if that original tweet gets pulled, we still have the reference footage at the bottom, so folks have context.
We have the evidence.
We have the evidence. But yeah,
we have the receipts.
I guess that's the bittersweet part of this, is that right now all we know is that it exists and it's out there, and that it's like basically complete. It has it has 6 dungeons or 6 fortresses. The game was originally called Faradun, Dragon Fortress or something like that, and so there are like 3 different characters you can play as. Each one of them has like a complete FMV introduction for them. The menu's in English. What else do we know? We know that there are, he posted a subsequent post saying that there are 6 different castles that he was able to clear.
It was pretty much complete for the most part.
Exactly.
But,
Pioneer LDC game. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the elephant in the room is the D word is gonna get dumped.
Right. So Kay Kona, a Murder of Crows, reached out to me and he was like, well, have you talked to Fireball, or have you talked to any of the redump folks who are stationed over either in China or Japan, because there are people partnering for the redump project and maybe they could reach out to him. So I think that's the next step, is we need to talk to somebody in the redump project and see if anyone over there would be willing to like hit this guy up and try to see if he would be willing to. Of course, the more attention this thing gets, the more he may become aware of the fact that he's like sitting on a gold, because he has 2 unreleased games, and one of the other ones we're going to talk about in a minute. But basically, somebody else told me that, Night of Dragon was saying this is happening because folks are just doing their spring cleaning right now, and they're like unearthing discs that they had put away, so
I just hope this isn't one of those cases where it's like dropped on eBay and it's like good luck.
I know. Well, if somebody buys it, you never know, somebody might dump it, but at least we know it's out there and it's not just like a promotional video. I guess we knew it existed, right? Because they couldn't have made the promotional video with all that footage if it didn't exist in some form. But I mean, just knowing that it's basically complete or close to complete is awesome. I'll show you guys.
This guy just had it lying around though.
I can show you guys a little bit of the video, the promotional VHS tape that was circulated. It had been, the name had been changed to Monica no Shiro, or Monica's Fortress. Shiro literally translates to either castle or fortress, I think. More likely fortress, because that's the word that they used in Faradun, Dragon Fortress.
It's like also like Takechi no Shiro, like Takechi's castle.
Right. So I mean, it could, or Shikigami no Shiro, right? Yeah. So I guess it is castle. Right. Yeah, I guess it is castle. But anyway, it's like 2D sprites in a 3D world, so it's very similar. I guess you could say it's similar to like Dark Savior in that way. Cool stuff though. I mean, it's a great looking game. I've asked folks about it before, like, wouldn't it have been great if this had come out? And I just didn't know how far along it was. But I mean, apparently it's like really far along and it looks super awesome. Like, I would love to play this game even in Japanese. I'd go for it. I would try to like slog through it and get through it. But yeah, there's a VHS tape. The box art was ready to go. Here you have like actual jewel case artwork. We got the original pamphlets for it when it was Faradun, and then when it switched over to Monica's Castle. I don't know how far behind you are, Pat, or what you can see.
No, I'm seeing it. I'm like a second behind.
Okay, cool, good. I'm glad it's not like 5 seconds. I misnamed this. I thought this was a pamphlet at first. It actually turns out this is like a long box CD soundtrack. In the early mid 90s, they had those long box. Yeah, and those kind of held over in Japan for a while just because of the artwork. I always want to get one of those. I can never find them though. They're always on eBay for exorbitant amount of money sometimes. Yeah, my dad has like the original Beatles long box CDs, but wow. I mean, who knows if those CDs have rot, because they were like
a lot of 89. The early ones I heard have a lot of rot.
I think they were pressed in like 89 or something like that, so it was really crazy. Anyway, video showing the game and the gameplay. You guys are free to check it out. We also have it here on the website. So I mean, we really do that's the next step is we need to, oh, and here's the contents, of course. We included an image showing the contents of the disk so you can see the actual files on there. We need to kind of reach out to him. I tried reaching out to him in Japanese, using like the DeepL translator, but I didn't get a response. I didn't expect to get a response, to be honest. So
his response is probably check my eBay auction or check my Yahoo auction,
right.
Japan.
Well,
site.
Interestingly enough, he works for a shop that I guess sells retro games, but then they also service like PC engines. They service like the PC Engine Express, and then also like the Duos and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a fix-it shop, and they also, like, from what I can glean, I guess, from his other Twitter posts. So anyway, I don't know, but I'm gonna let you take this one next because this is really big news. It's a big deal if you guys haven't played this yet.
Yep. So recently they just released this Monday. This past Monday, released Sakura Wars Columns 2 on the Dreamcast, the fan translation by Derek and Company. So essentially,
Burnt Ends.
Yeah. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, Burnt Ends.
Burnt Ends and A-Team.
Yeah. So there's a couple people on the team. There's CG Irakora and Deathrax, right?
Oh right, yeah.
Or
Danthrax? Yeah. Danthrax. That's what it is.
Danthrax, they worked on that as well. But yeah, essentially for those that haven't seen the previous streams, this is basically a columns games of Sakura Wars, and essentially you just line up the columns and have little battles to see who can play the biggest role, get the big role of Shonen Red.
Yeah, I went in blind for our stream, and I admit it was kind of hard to get the hang of because I was thinking like Puyo Puyo. And it's a little different, but actually I played it a little while more after the stream, and I think it was a lot of fun. Not to mention all the dialogue and stuff like that.
Yeah, actually, it was Natsume 38 who was the third translator.
So what do you think of the game?
I thought it was pretty fun. I suck at it because I'm garbage at columns games. But
Same.
It was a lot of fun to play. But I had a lot of fun playing it. I really enjoyed getting the hang of it, and I love Sakura Wars. So I mean,
yeah,
it works for me. Like I've been playing the PS4 version of that, and I really enjoy it so far. I'm excited to finish it up and play the Saturn version next. So
yeah, I ended up as a mailbox.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, it's like if you don't come in, if you don't place, or if you don't come in first or whatever, you end up as a mailbox. So yeah, that was me, the mailbox. But that was my role in the troop. So so
Fair
just
enough.
just
That's
like
me
you,
in a
I am
nutshell.
not good at the game, but I still enjoy it.
For real, yeah. And they actually did the team did actually a podcast with Found in Translation, which is a podcast by Galeon, I think his name is. That's in our Discord.
Galeon.
But yeah, he has Galeon, yeah. He did a podcast for that, so go watch them. They talk about the game, and they have a couple other good ones, like about they have the guys did the Napple Tale on the Dreamcast.
Oh right, yes.
So, which is also an excellent game to play. Definitely play that if you haven't. But yeah, Sakura Wars is really fun. The columns too. I'm glad it's out. We are actually working on a video, at least Ben is, of trying to get around some of the download issues with it. Because if you don't have a modem connected, it won't do the go to that site that lets you to download the 100% save in the DLC.
Yeah, or if your modem is broken, for that matter, or not connected correctly, it'll tell you, because I think they're trying to put like a warning in there, like an error message saying, you either need to fix your modem, put in a modem, or use an emulator that supports modem emulation.
It's kind of funny though that they add that in there specifically, because it's not exactly what it says, but it's funny with the changing times that's going to be on an actual hardware thing. It's like if you're playing this in an emulator.
Yeah. I mean,
it's pretty hilarious.
It's really cool that, I mean, in the first place, that's how they were able to implement the whole patch and everything like that, to include a 100% save to unlock all that content, and then also there's like all the DLC included on there. I thought that was a very, very impressive and also really cool. And I mean, they spared no expense, as the dude from Jurassic Park would say. We spare no expense. They translated the little icon on the VMU. You know,
Yeah,
they
that's pretty cute.
all the artwork for the menus and everything like that. The game looks super sharp on a CRT. I can say in VGA, it just looks amazingly crisp.
Yeah, it's pretty much a 1-for-1 what would have come out minus the voice acting.
And the only thing that they
actually, no, they probably would have left the Japanese in if it's Dreamcast actually.
Yeah, probably. I mean, but the only thing they weren't able to translate was the actual browser, I guess. A lot of the browser prompts and stuff and they may be able to in a future update. But I just know that it was something that was a little tricky, and it couldn't be done in the same way that they were working on everything else. So it's just one of those things.
Library.
Yeah, exactly. So it's probably one of those things where they might figure out a way. But again, it's completely playable, and pretty much the only thing you need the browser for is just to download those DLC and the complete save, and that's pretty much easy enough to do, easy enough to understand, because I did it. I'm not that smart, so...
Yeah, Derek said in the chat that he translated most of the browser in the final release.
Really?
And most of the browser text at least most of the browser text that you actually see. So it's probably referring to maybe that error message. So
okay, cool. I didn't know that. I haven't actually checked the most recent release, but I do need to replace what's on my mode with the latest and greatest. So that's awesome. That's news to me and good to hear. Next up, another game unreleased. Now, here's the funny thing: same guy, right? Same dude in Japan. Yeah. So, okay, I was going back just to check up on if he had posted anything subsequent for the Monica no Shiro, right? And I couldn't find, for some reason, Twitter was doing something weird, and I couldn't actually find the original post. And I thought he had pulled the post, right? I thought, oh gosh, we brought a bunch of attention to this, and he pulled the post because I can't find it. So I'm like scrolling through his entire Twitter feed, and I go back far enough. And I mean, this guy posts a lot of like unrelated to game stuff. And, I go back far enough and I'm like, what is this? It turns out like he also has this other game that's completely unreleased. And he's just like, no big deal. He's like, this is a CDR. It was written on the label on version 1. I was able to play it until I cleared it. But honestly, it wasn't that interesting. So I think it was not released. It's like, are you kidding? Like some of us care. Like, so this is a big deal to some of us, but I mean maybe some folks just don't care. I don't know. Anyway, you can easily see here the game running. Well, actually, hold on. Let me use this one because it's bigger. So you can easily see it was a company called Signal Light, right? Signal Light Corp. They were only Signal Light briefly, from what I can understand, before they became Starlight Mary, and they did Another Memories, which was published on the Saturn. You got this like Famiresu kind of backdrop with just like a kid in high school, basketball player, girl that works at the little family restaurant. You got the girl on the volleyball team or something like that. I don't know. Anyway,
so you get the girl on the volleyball team.
Well, you get this like cutesy. What is it? Where is it? It's like
Animu.
Well, there's a little Cupid character, right? So I guess that it's called Rensa Love Links or Love Chain. Pick one. It kind of, the translation is, I'm not clear on the kanji, but it's either Love Links or Love Chain. And you pick a locale on this campus, on this like high school quad campus thing, either the track or maybe she's a track star. I don't know. But, she needs to wear like a sports bra or something like that. Anyway, so it's, you got these, you got what's essentially a Puyo clone, I guess. I would say it's similar to some kind of like Puyo clone derivative, or maybe like a columns derivative. I can't really tell.
Someone said thirsty columns.
Thirsty columns. I mean, obviously it's a Connect 3 deal, right? So it's a Connect 3 colors deal, but you also have like gems inside the rings that are different colors, so there's some kind of different dynamic. And then there's like a roulette deal where you get into, oh, I did not mean to make that big.
Big zoom in.
Big zoom in. No, what I meant to do is show you guys that there's a damn it. this is really hard to control. So there's like this
I don't
chance.
know, Dave. I think you're zooming for different reasons. You know.
I promise.
I keep zooming in.
I promise
I keep
that's not
zooming
what
in near her chest. Oh, oops.
Okay, so you got this like chance roulette thing, and it's anybody's guess how it works. But I mean, there's like different items you can choose from: a money bag, some kind of like potion bottle or something like that. So anyway, it's a puzzle game. It's probably got like a dating sim deal. Somebody in the chat was like, oh, would this be like a red label game? I don't know that this would be a red label game. Maybe like a yellow label or something like that.
It's probably yellow label.
Yeah,
if that.
I don't see it being a red label game for any particular reason. But then again, I haven't seen that much of the game, so who knows?
It could be. I think my favorite thing is on Twitter. Somebody tweeted and thought that R was a P. I thought it said Pensa.
Pensa. Oh, because they kind of didn't. That was Night of Dragon. He's like, if you don't scroll down all the way, it looks like Pensa. Yeah, you
yikes.
know. So, shouts to GDRI, Game Developers Research Institute, for providing more information on this developer that I didn't know. They were a Yokohama-based company. That became Starlight Mary. A lot of their staff came from Arc System Works.
Nice.
They worked on Wizards
company.
Harmony and Zork 1. Zork 1 is one of those games on the Saturn that I really wish somebody could come along and translate, because I'm a big Zork fan. But you know, it's probably better on the PC anyway. Nerd. I know.
Who plays Zork? Only the British play Zork.
No, man, Zork is great. Zork is great for like a audio let's play, because the whole thing you don't even need like a video for it. You could just Retronauts did.
Am I thinking of something? I'm thinking of a different title than Zork. I'm thinking of the other one.
Yeah,
I think
Zork,
we're
the
thinking of
Underground
two
Empire.
titles.
So Retronauts did like a Zork podcast, and they started out by doing kind of like a let's play, and it was all audio let's play where where like Jeremy Parrish is like reading the prompts, and then they were just like putting in input and stuff like that, and it was actually real. I was like, this would work totally, like an audio let's play. I would download that on like Audible. What's up?
I was thinking of the other British one, the one where they reused the character for all of them. I can't remember what his name. It started with a Z. I thought that's what you're talking about.
I don't know.
I think that's also Zork.
Not ringing a bell. Not ringing a bell. But anyway,
I could be wrong. You British fans, let us know what I'm trying to think of. It's the one guy that they uses characters like Zork in X game or something.
Okay, well, Zork kind of spun off after the second game, I would say. It kind of like spun off and became like a more visual thing, and it's just not the same. So the first 2 or 3 games or so are the ones, and they're like text adventures. But anyway, now we're getting way off. We're like way off topic.
Yeah.
What else can I say about this game? It is what seems to be another complete but unreleased CDR that's sitting in the same person's possession. So again, and this is not to be confused with Tenchi Muyo Rensa, which might come up in a Google search because there's not a whole lot of information about this game out there. But anyway, it is not Tenchi Muyo Rensa, which actually did see release on Saturn. But yeah,
that's the game I need to play. I love Tenchi Muyo.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
I like it.
So whether or not this game would be good or not, I don't think matters as much as the fact that there is yet another unreleased game that's complete but was unreleased, and probably due to perceived lack of success or something like that, or maybe it was just not a good, maybe they hadn't put that much money into development and they just decided it wasn't worth publishing. Who knows? Could have been a restructuring thing, because they did change their name and go on to kind of do different stuff. So anyway, moving on, we have Best of Saturn, another plug for another Saturn game that Peter posts up these regular Best of Saturn posts, hashtag Best of Saturn, just to get folks talking. Have you ever played this game, Shining Wisdom?
I never did. I've always been told I should play it though, but
yeah.
The artwork on the American one, I think, is probably my favorite one. I think the art is really beautiful on the U.S. cover compared to the Japanese cover.
Yeah.
I would just me yeah.
I agree. You know, I'm with you on this, and as a Saturn fan, I'm kind of ashamed to say it, but I'll be honest with you, I do not know a lot about this game. I have not played this game. it's just one of those ones that I've kind of always heard that it's not that great, or that it's like it's decent, but it's, you know, just basically I've been focusing on other working designs games, you know, so this is just one of those ones that is kind of a blind spot for me. I probably need to do something about that, but of course, you know,
it's kind of a sadness that this was thrown off to working designs to work on, no pun intended, versus Sega, who made the game.
yeah, I thought the same here. I thought, okay, it's a Shining game. I would have expected that they would have handled it in-house, but again, maybe they just stretched for resources, I guess, and couldn't handle it.
Well, I mean, it's kind of weird because they did release Shining Force 3 on the Saturn, which is kind of weird, but yeah, I actually kind of find it interesting how long the series has been going on for. So there's several games in the entire series.
Well, I think that's it really in a nutshell. Is Sega decided, okay, we're of the Japanese Shining games, we're going to bring over Shining Force 3, but not even the whole game. We're gonna we're gonna bring over we're gonna bring over Scenario 1. We're gonna bring over Shining the Holy Ark,
Wisdom.
right? Because those are the two games that they are the better games, right? They're great games. And then they probably were just like, yeah, I don't think we're gonna bring over this one. And then probably it was working designs who like raised their hand and was like, okay, seriously, we'll release it. If you're not gonna release it, we'll release it because it's a Shining game, you know. But
I think it's put on the chat that it's interesting that Sega of Europe published it and they did a translation for it, and then Working Designs did another translation for it, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, what's the better translation?
Yeah, I don't know. I would be interested to know. I can't say because I haven't played it in any respect, and I won't pretend to. But Peter does mention that it's a nice action RPG with Metroidvania sensibilities. I am imagining that he's talking about, you know, having to backtrack to get items to advance your progress later on. So and kind of moving forward and then having to go back to move forward again. But yeah, it's an interesting take, and I know Peter likes this game. Peter has a pretty radical acceptance of a lot of games that are like lesser than, I guess you could say, and I really appreciate that because, like Peter, I do too tend to like some games that are panned by most folks. But I know this was one it's not bad. It's just not as good as the other Shining games. So for me, I've kind of overlooked it, but I'm gonna do something about that soon.
Yeah. Apparently, it was done by a different studio than Camelot.
Yeah, exactly. It was not a Camelot.
So maybe that might be why. That makes sense.
Yeah. And I mean, it's to be fair.
It was Camelot. Sorry, it was Camelot.
Was it really? See,
yeah,
I don't.
Let's say in the chat. Yeah.
Does it say Camelot here? It says Working Designs. It says Sega Enterprises on the. I was just looking at the credits on the. It might have just been like
some team thing.
Well, anyway, but yeah, I mean, you know, it's like a top-down action RPG, which is to me very reminiscent of like Zelda, right? So that's kind of one of the reasons probably I didn't take a look at it either. But if folks say that it's really good, I'm interested in giving it a go.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I'm interested to try it out. I like weird Japanese games, so hey, why not?
These days I'm spending more time on like short gameplay experiences though, because every time I get into an RPG, I get so far. I level to like level 20 or 30, and then I like something gets in the way and I come back to it like maybe 3 months later and I've completely forgotten what's going on. And I'm just like, oh God, you know, like if I want to enjoy this game, enjoy the story, I'm going to have to like start from scratch again, or like look at a guide to figure out what was going on. Man,
that's usually my go.
So,
why don't we dig into this one?
I want to dig in this?
I want to do something interesting. I want to talk about it, then we'll get some opinions in the chat and see what people think about it as well.
Go for it.
But yeah, this is a little Sega Saturn short that SHIRO short that Peter put up about the Saturn Mini. So as you don't know, since 2016 they really released the NES Classic, and that whole mini consoles blew up from like stuff like the PlayStation Mini to the Sega Genesis Mini to even like the right here the Astro City Mini right here that is all green, and you can't see the screen because it's greened out. Everything's green on it. But
clone console craze.
Yeah, it's a whole craze of it, and a lot of people started really bringing up like, oh, what about a Saturn Mini? But Peter really put a really good argument against it with 3 points, which I kind of agree with. Where one, it probably wouldn't be as popular outside of Japan because there's not enough interest outside Japan because I mean, for the most part, it was a mostly popular Japanese console. In the U.S., it was kind of like the odd child, like the TurboGrafx 16 Mini.
Yeah.
Where it's like some people like it, but some people are like, I don't know.
But what are we talking about? Are we talking about whether or not it would be made at all, or are we just talking about whether or not it would be released in the U.S.?
If it was released, how it would be received.
Because this didn't stop. Neither of these two first things stopped Sega from putting out a tiny little Game Gear, for $50.
The thing is, though, the Game Gear was only released in Japan, not America.
Well, right. That's what I'm wondering. Is like, could this be something that we might see as like an import-only kind of device in the future, or do you think they won't even try?
I don't think they'll try, to be honest, because the other point that it might be more expensive because even on the Astro City Mini, the Virtual Fighter thing was a bit laggy to begin with. So if that was laggy, I couldn't imagine. But also it might have just been the emulation software they were using.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
But
yeah, I don't see it coming out ever, like in any. I don't see it coming out in any way and being positively accepted by fans. If anything, I see it coming out, everybody buys one up just because it is a Saturn Mini, and then ultimately goes online to complain about how poor the performance it is, and then that's it. That's the end of the story.
Yeah, and it just like in the hardcore, they're gonna probably go for the like ODEs or like pseudo Saturns over something like this, like go for the upscale as well, which are a lot of the fans that are targeted by this. And another the point he brought up is the licensing, which I thought was interesting because I know there's a lot of trademarks and a lot of Saturn games, like some of the Daytona stuff, some stuff in Sega Rally.
Oh yeah,
which might be a problem. Unless they renew it, which would obviously mean the console would drive up to a higher price in that case. Yeah,
you're not kidding. I mean, Sega Rally, which is a game that you couldn't avoid putting on a mini console, right? It would be like one of the, you have to put this game on there because it's one of the best games, right? Well, I mean, Sega Rally has like Toyota, like all over it, because they had an exclusive deal. And Isle of Man, right? I think it's the Isle of Man, right? Yeah, for the oh no, Isle of Man is the motorcycle racing game, Manx TT, which is also kind of like a must-have, and that has more of that kind of stuff. But yeah, Sega Rally has Lancia and Toyota logos in it and Castrol logos in it, and
I even got one that's going to be on there. That's going to be Die Hard Arcade.
Oh, Die Hard Arcade! Yeah, no, you're not kidding. So yeah,
they'll have to change the Dynamite Cop if they even do it.
Yeah, it would have to be like the Dynamite Deca or Dynamite Cop. Yeah, you're not kidding. So they would definitely run into some licensing issues, I'm sure, or at least they would have to negotiate licensing issues. But I mean, this is not the mid '90s. Like Toyota's probably like, no, we're good. We don't really want.
Yeah, and like Disney owns Fox now, and I imagine they're gonna be like, yeah, I don't think so.
My take on this, though, is kind of like you were saying, like. The way I feel is that by the time a Saturn mini console could come out and actually be good enough to warrant itself existing, the whole mini console craze probably will have come and gone, and it won't really be a thing.
It's already faded. It's already faded right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, so people have them, and it's just another trinket to put on your shelves and show off in your.
More tat.
Exactly. But it's kind of like a Neo Geo X. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like you're just going to see a ton of them show up on OfferUp because, it at the end of the day, it's just a system on a chip. Exactly.
Or it's like some Linux emulated box thing.
I would not mind, though. I really would not mind if, let's say, a few years on, because we know they're working on cores for the Saturn, right? They're working on a Saturn core for the Mr. project, right? So I really would not mind the dude who is putting out those Saturn shells right now, and I forget the name. What was that? What was their name? I feel bad.
I forget. I know RetroTech is selling it. I don't know the
RetroTech
name
is selling it. I can't remember the name of the original guys, but I'm sure somebody will put it in the comments. But anyway, that guy, if you can figure out a way to miniaturize that, or somebody puts out like a miniature shell, of the Saturn, and not 3D printed, because I mean, yeah, folks are gonna 3D print a Saturn and put a mister in there, but I think it would be better if it was like an actual molded piece of plastic. Just get a mister in there, and then we're talking. Once they get the mister core going, I'd be down for that little Mr. Saturn Mini.
Mr. Saturn, I'm down.
Yeah, but man, Peter did not. He gave us kind of like a sneak peek of like what he would put on a Saturn Mini, if there was one. Yeah.
He's had some good consoles like Revolution Girl, or all the good games like Revolution Girl Utena. I definitely would want that on there.
But I can't see that being on a mini console. It's like so niche. How many people?
But it would be funny.
Oh yeah, it would be great. I mean, like I agree, but I mean, again, when I see something like that, I'm like, yeah, I don't think that would make the cut. Just because they're going to be looking to cash in on nostalgia, and I don't know anybody who has nostalgia for that except for like folks in Japan.
Or anime nerds.
Yeah.
The VHSs.
Like, we're going to put out a special Weeb edition.
I'm down. But yeah, if you guys want to unmute and give your opinion on it, that'd be great.
Yeah. Because we're going to go we're going to go into the game stream after this. So we can just unmute now, have folks chime in.
Yeah, exactly. And this way you guys can get on the stream or the podcast.
Yeah. I really don't know if I mean, I guess you're right. No matter how much the Saturn is becoming popular these days, it's more like the pursuit of collecting the Saturn and stuff like that. I don't know that there's enough built-in nostalgia for it that folks would want to go buy a Mini in the US. I kind of feel like I would, just because, SHIRO, like I have to report on it. I'd have to, I'd be obligated. But like most folks, it probably wouldn't be an impulse buy, unless you were a diehard Saturn fan.
Yeah, I think Trekkies is in here. What were your opinions on it, Trekkies?
I was just gonna say, if there's anything Sega could probably do about that to try and cash in on it, would be like just reprint old games.
Yeah, I think we talked about that before. I think the biggest issue is that whole, the ability to play. Yeah, the security ring. Yeah.
That would probably be like the one thing they could do if they truly can't afford to make like an actual Mini. That would probably be like the next best option.
Yeah.
I never understood the trend of mini consoles, because it's just one step further down the line of taking privileges or rights away from the consumer to control their machines, like have non-interchangeable games, which have been a staple since the what was it called? The first console to have cartridges.
The Odyssey Magnavox?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of more just jumpers. The games are all built in. The carts just set different jumpers. I think the Channel F was the first one that actually had the programs.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like the thing with the CMOS battery, you cannot change. You can't switch the batteries. The save games are in the cloud. The games are locked.
Yeah.
And
well, I think like with the minis, they're kind of aimed at a very specific kind of thing.
Right.
So it's kind of like there's like, okay, we're not going to remake the hardware because it's just not worth it for us, but we could at least put them on a box that looks like it for you to hook up to like your modern TV.
Right.
And we'll put like the 30 most popular games on it.
I mean,
I'm fine. It's like, it's not taking away your existing hardware for those of us who still have it or anything like that.
And the ironic part is that it hasn't stopped, the limited number of games hasn't stopped anyone from cramming tons of ROMs on there, like hacking these things, through USB and cramming tons of ROMs on them and then reselling them on OfferUp, hacked, PS Mini, PlayStation Mini with like 80 games on it or something like that. And so it's like ironic because then it's like, it's basically kind of like a Raspberry Pi, right? But it can't do all the stuff that a Raspberry Pi can do. It's just basically a PlayStation, and it'll play PlayStation games, albeit not as good as an actual PlayStation. So
Yeah,
I heard
think,
that people.
I think when you get to like the 32-bit gen for the minis, that's where you start to see we see a massive jump over like the 16-bit and 8-bit stuff.
yeah,
So I think it's harder to get an emulator that can run on that kind of hardware and be pretty accurate.
yeah,
So like the PlayStation Mini, even yeah, it works, but it's not as good. Like the quality is not the same as like the Genesis Mini, the TurboGrafx Mini, the SNES or NES Mini. When you compare
right.
it.
So what kind of emulators are these guys using? Are they like stealing the open source ones? Is it like EPC X2?
I think like the ones from Sega and Nintendo are in-house ones. The ones from Sega and the one Konami did for the TurboGrafx, I believe those were developed by M2.
Yeah, M2.
I think this Capcom actually stole some emulation on their stick.
Yeah, on their stick
think-
box, which that caused some problems.
Yeah.
And I think Sony stole theirs on the PS1. Because I know
I
there was a
think-
bunch of drama about that.
I think the Nintendo stole Nesticle at one point on the Wii, right?
They did.
No,
No,
Nesticle
didn't they?
would not run on the Wii. That's DOS.
Somebody stole. Oh no, you know what? It was
that the ROMs had the iNES headers in them. Was what the drama was.
well Dreamcast that for the Genesis Smash Pack.
Yeah, they downloaded the ROMs off the internet.
And you could see it in the
That's
headers.
pretty funny.
Yeah, and I think there was even a code. The programmer like put a message to folks like saying this is right. Wasn't there
That's
like
how
a
you load
message
a
hidden
game.
in there? Yeah.
Yeah, they basically allowed them to load like custom Genesis and Mega Drive ROMs on there,
Which is
like,
why-
running a command.
Exactly. Yeah, which was
Yeah,
like.
I don't think Nintendo stole Nesticle because that would not run on the Wii because it's all done in DOS and it's x86 assembly.
Yeah. Plus, I think Nintendo's a little too prideful. They're like, no, we
They're
can't.
prideful enough to steal the ROMs, but not
That's right,
the
like some of
actual hardware.
Yes.
From some of their leaks, we know they had made like Game Boy emulators themselves internally and things.
Yeah, those leaks are pretty awesome.
Didn't
Looking through
somebody license Final Burn Alpha for their console? Wasn't it this huge Capcom?
Final Burn Alpha. Well, would that have been the Neo Geo X, the handheld Neo Geo?
Possibly.
Because I know Final
Yeah.
Burn Final Burn Alpha was like one of the better Neo Geo emulators, right?
I think so.
I don't remember. I remember something about the Capcom stick that looked like the logo.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where they took that from, but I do remember hearing about that. I'm not sure if it's Final Burn Alpha though.
Oh, if it was that Capcom like logo shaped fight stick that has all the
Yeah, because that one had stolen emulation, or
Yeah.
they didn't use the license properly or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there
Crazy
was also,
times.
There was the Retron 5 that had a ton of drama with it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And then there was the CD console that just basically had an orange pie in it or something like that.
The one thing I'd be curious about is when you're getting to the point where like the cost of like the hardware you need to emulate it properly versus like
Right.
which would be more expensive at that point, trying to make an emulation box, or would it actually be cheaper to try and just remake the old hardware? That's where I'm wondering where that line is.
Which is
my curiosity.
Which is
'Cause I know,
why
like,
the Mr.
the
Cores.
68K
Oh, sorry.
The 68K is still used in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like in car microcontrollers and that's still used.
Mhm.
And I think the SH2s are still used. Possibly even like the SH4 and the Dreamcast is still used in a lot of embedded stuff.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised, and I think like the Power VR that the Dreamcast uses is kind of like the evolution that went into the early iPhones.
Oh
So
yeah.
it'd be
So they're
interesting to
off the
see,
shelf
like,
parts.
It'd be interesting to see if like for the Saturn, it would really be you would need to recreate the sound chip and the VDPs and like the other like glue chips. But it would be interesting to see if you could kind of like using like modern tooling, if it would be cheaper to like just make like a Saturn on a chip kind of thing versus trying to emulate it.
I assume the economies of scale are so heavily in favor of just buying Raspberry Pis in bulk that it
Yeah.
would almost because they
Yeah.
have this,
Right. I'm just saying like if you can't get like Saturn emulation running on like a Raspberry Pi and like the kind of hardware you would need in there to emulate it accurately, I'm wondering where the line is on which would cost more. Is just my thought.
I assume that it would be cheaper to get some sort of miniaturized i7 or i9 or Ryzen or something like that for like a laptop or whatever, rather than because there's that hardware that exists, and even if it's super easy and technologically available to make new VDPs, they'd have to spin up a whole new process to create them again.
Good point.
Yeah.
Sure. I know for the longest time, like Tectoy was still making Genesis hardware.
Well, that's the thing, though. Is you could still buy basically fully functional consoles that will play NES, Genesis, and SNES. Like someone in China or Brazil or someone like that is ordering enough to have a factory constantly making those boards.
Why don't we? I'll tell you what. Let's continue this conversation, but I'll have Pat wrap on this for the podcast, and then we'll go into the game stream, and we can keep talking about this in the game stream. Okay.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy. Hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next week on the next the SHIRO Show news segment.
See you guys. Peace.
Don't the patterns of the chips run out after 20 years or something? So anyone is free to.
It's fuzzy.
I mean, I'm sure they have the files or the blueprints or something. It's not hard to open up Edit and like make a new pattern. If especially for something that old, it's much simpler. I don't think any of the older boards were like super complicated multi-layer lithographies. I think it was all just traces, and you solder on the chips, and the chips are the actual hard part. I mean, if you just gave me a picture of a Saturn in a couple weeks, I could probably make a mask file for it in, if I had nothing better to do, but it wouldn't do any good if I didn't have the chips to solder onto it.
I was gonna say, enjoy recreating those chips.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just like Sega probably and them still probably have all the specs and that for like what's in the chips and how to make them, I'd imagine. But my guess is I'm just curious, like where's as like people are demanding some of these minis are like the N64 mini, that would be a beast in and of itself, I'd imagine, because we still don't have decent emulation for that.
True.
Yeah, I'm surprised how bad emulation still is.
Megapen, like, yeah, it seems okay to like just the average person playing it, but there's stuff I've caught in it where it's like this isn't accurate.
I still can't play Yoshi Story on PC.
Really? That's
really
weird.
Well, I mean, last time I tried, like all the graphics were just completely broken, and I know Kirby 64 is my favorite N64 game, save for a few obvious exceptions. It's the health bar doesn't update, so if you're fighting someone, you have no idea where you're at.
That's so weird that years later that they still have issues with emulation on that. I remember Pat the NES Punk was pointing that out too, doing his book, is that all the emulation is garbage, or a lot of it's like have issues for the N64.
Well, it's because it's kind of like where like BSNES came from, where like they were going for like really super like accurate down to like the cycle level, and like all the emulators before then were just doing all these glorified hacks to make things work. So like his whole thing was, I want to make it cycle accurate, and that required at the time a very beastly computer, and that was just for Super Nintendo stuff.
I have a question. The FPGA accurate cores, don't people like scrape down the chips and map the
inputs and outputs, or you can also literally take like acid to the chip innards or the outside, break open the chip and look at the traces and scan it from there, because that's how they did it on the Neo Geo chips, is that they actually broke open the caps on the chips and just looked at how everything was put together in there.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what they did for the expansion chips on the SNES as well years ago.
Can you make an exact copy of a chip like that, then like reverse engineered and like make a plan and tell the Chinese factory, make me a Motorola 68000 processor?
You don't even need to crack a lot of those. You don't have to do that. You can just order in that park place? I can't remember the name of it. The one where you order chips.
McMahon.
You send in the schematics. That's one of them, but there's like this. I think it's Oshu Park. I think is the name of it. I can't remember the name of it, but you can actually send in the chip schematics and they can remake the chips for you.
So actually, a lot of these chips, you don't have to take them apart because, or even if you didn't have the ability to reorder them, their inputs and outputs are sometimes like completely mapped. Like I remember when Ponent and I were working on that timer script for that ended up in Joe Engine. We were actually looking at I think it was the SDSP, or I forget which one it was, whichever one, maybe the SU controls the timing. And we were actually looking at the response rates for the different registers for high frequency and low frequency. It's all mapped. They have like these hundreds of pages of manuals for all these chips that for the most part are standardized parts. Like the 68K, I'm sure has a massive manual for if you want to recreate it. You just look up what the input is, what the output is.
For some
Well,
of
the
those
chip's already recreated.
The other issue is some of those documents have just translation errors in them too.
Yeah, actually in the 68000's case, there actually is somebody that actually recreated the entire chip and remapped it, and for the Mister, and that's actually what the basis was for the Neo Geo core and some of the other ones that use the 68000 chip. So if you ever wanted to buy another one, you can just send in the designs and get that remade.
So if I don't want something like FPGA and I could like solder or trace a board and then like order some chips, could I, for example, build me a Mega Drive or something, like tell somebody I want Yamaha 2612s and a Motorola processor and stack the board?
I think the thing is that I think a lot of the chips also have ROM chips on there that require that to be burnt, and it use specific BIOS stuff. I'm not that familiar. I don't go that deep, and I didn't go that deep into circuits and designs. I did basically vending machine programs and stuff in college. But I think I might be wrong on this, but I believe you need some of the stuff you need to have like specialty stuff burnt to the chips for them to run.
Yeah, I think there might be some very basic BIOS on some of those.
Yeah.
For the other thing is like when you get to like emulation, even with the Saturn, like what I found with Grandy is every single Saturn emulator is fudging VDP2. They're not doing things accurately.
Really?
Yeah. So
Crazy.
One of the things with VDP2 is you have to give it its own VRAM timings. It can't figure them out, and basically the real chip is very, very finicky, and it will only take very specific ones, whereas on just about every emulator out there, you can give it ones that are just complete nonsense. It'll still draw things fine. But if you do that on like the real hardware, you're going to get pixel vomit on the screen. It's just going to like vomit rainbows and random things at you, just because it's not a valid timing.
Isn't that half the fun?
Sure, it's one of those things where if you're trying to make a clone and you're using like one of those emulators, like that's not going to be accurate.
Yeah, it might work for one or two games, but probably not for all of them.
So like there's actually like Symphony of the Night actually is a famous one because there's like been a bug in a lot of emulators like backlogs for a while where they say the text isn't drawing aligned the same way it does on the real hardware. And what it is Kaysen apparently could not figure out the VRAM timings properly, so they stored the graphics in a way so that when they would get put against those bad VRAM timings, they would look correct. So then when you put it in an emulator, it's not emulating those VRAM timings correct, the text isn't aligned properly.
Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely interesting. But I know a lot of people at least have been getting chips to at least replace stuff and get those chips mapped out. So it's also good for replacement parts.
Yeah,
stuff of that nature.
If you're gonna do it for like the VDPs and the Saturn, I would say you probably want to take the decap route, where you take the cap off and have someone scan it.
Yeah, I think that's what's actually happening with the FPGA implementation. I think that they might be working on that, but I could be wrong. I haven't been following that project completely, but I believe that's what they're doing.
Yeah, here's an example for you of the VRAM timings being like nonsense. So like this was one where I just posted in Saturn chat. On real hardware, it looked fine. Everything was correct. But on a Mednafen, it looked correct. In real hardware, I got that.
For the record, he's talking about the Sega Saturn SHIRO Saturn chat channel. If you're on the Sega SHIRO Discord.
That's a good plug. Good plug time. Yeah, if you guys want to jump in, see what they're talking about, seeing what we're posting, go join our Discord. The link should be in the chat,
Like,
and you
I'm
can
not
talk
even
to
gonna
us.
look at you, it already looks like garbage.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm watching the video right now, so it's
What
yeah,
video
it's,
looks? Our
no,
stream.
It's on no, the stream's fine. It's in the Saturn chat, the video that Trekkie's posted of Grandia, where it transitions and it just goes into a garbled mess. A garbled mess.
I might
like
have
what they-
sold my off-road vehicle. I have to get out of here. Sorry. I meant to buy another one, and I think I sold it instead of buying it.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, Trekkies. This looks good to me.
Oh yeah. But yeah, it's basically what the game does there. It's kind of clever, but also kind of comical. Where it's during that scene where Lean's talking, it's showing like all these different parts of the base where all the like people are listening. Instead of loading to different maps and having to like pause and load, what they did is they just stored in that one map all these static screenshots of in-engine shots, and then they're basically just drawing those to VDP2 as just like static background images over top of everything else. So if you like disable that background, you see the scene that was before is just sitting there and then we're just kind of just standing around. So they just draw that over top. But
And that, kids, is why it's important to test on both emulation and hardware implementations.
Yep. And like if you ever want to do anything like with like the floppy disk drive, you have to use real hardware.
Didn't I learn that the hard way?
Wait, Xenos, what are you doing with a floppy disk?
I'm not doing anything with the floppy disk.
I think he just meant testing on real hardware versus emulation.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even test it in emulation, and now I have to fix it. But that's for later.
Oh, is this the island model?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. We can talk about that off stream because that game's not out yet.
Let us know what it is. We'd love to play it.
To be honest, the problem with that game boils again back down to VDP2 and my inability to fully understand it and use it.
Well, it's like VDP2 in a nutshell is like that meme picture of like that lady sitting there and all like all confused and all the math formulas are running past her.
It
Like,
makes you wonder.
That's
It makes you
basically
wonder.
the VDP2 manual in a nutshell.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if once we get that FPGA implementation of the Saturn, if that might make it easier for people to program for it with that understanding of how it works exactly.
If anything, it's just going to lead to more confusion because it's probably almost certainly going to have different behavior. There's no possible way. I will bet like money on it that anyone at Sega still recalls how the VDP2 even works. Like none of their architects is going to recall that. So whatever they're going to make is going to work good enough for the library of games that they are targeting, and it's still essentially going to be a form of emulation. There's no way they're going to get exactly the same.
I mean, they could try the recap route.
I bet you Suzuki remembers how it works, but he's not talking. No.
Or Yuji Naka.
Or Yuji Naka.
They're probably be like, "Oh, I don't remember. That was like 25 years ago."
They're both busy with great games now.
Yep.
Or do like wasn't it when M2 was porting Sonic to the 3DS and they asked Yuji Naka? I guess like they had the Sonic Jam source code and they were trying to use it to figure out how to get the spin dash in Sonic 1 and they asked Yuji Naka. He's like, "Oh, that's really easy. Good luck."
Good luck.
Yeah, that was all he told them.
That's really easy.
Rude.
Good luck.
That's been done in emulation or in ROM hacks, and it was done
That's
by
great.
the
Right. It was a lot of those ROM hacks are basically they're usually just taking like the Sonic 2 version or higher and putting the Sonic 1 content in it, if I remember correctly. But it was, or like some newer ones have done it, but it was just thing like back when they were doing it on the 3DS and they were like they had the source code for Sonic Jam where they added it and they were trying to add all that content from Sonic Jam into it and they're like, we can't really understand this code and we're having trouble trying to figure this out, and he's like, "Oh, that's really easy to do. You'll figure it out. I have faith in you. Good luck." That's all he said.
It's such a dick.
That sounds like something I would say if I don't remember what. I didn't write any comments. It's like, yeah, that's easy. You can do it, dude. Later.
Well, I guess the theory for how Sonic Jam was done between a lot of people is apparently they may have just like auto-converted the assembly to C or something like that.
Huh.
So my
I
biggest
know like
problem
Sonic
with
Jam, not Sonic Jam, Sonic 3D Blast, I guess that is what like Traveler's Tales did for the Saturn port. It was just kind of like an automated thing they did.
But there's so much more like stuff in it. There's actual 3D effects or both.
Right, right. For like the base like game that's identical to Genesis, it was just kind of automated the code, then they updated the assets kind of thing. And then the 3D special stages were actually Sonic Team made those and gave them to them.
Oh, okay, that's neat.
What's the game you're playing?
This is ChoroQ Park.
It's a fun racer.
It is a. Are you familiar with penny racers, like the actual toys?
No.
Okay, so there are these things called ChoroQs that came out in Japan in like the, I don't want to say 80s or something, and essentially they're like these tiny little collectible cars. Think Pokemon, you know, gotta collect them all, but instead you got these like tiny little wind-up cars. You pull them back, and you put a penny in, and it makes them like do stunts, and it makes them. If my memory serves me correctly, like you can pull them back and they won't go until you stick a penny in the back. Either that or the penny, or putting a penny in the back causes them to be back heavy, and then they do like wheelies and stuff like that. But anyway, they made a game based on it, and the idea with this game is that you have these different change pads, like right here. When I cross this change pad, I change cars. The spring in your car like wears out, right? So instead of gas, each car has like a spring in it that you would have in like a pullback, you know, in like a little pullback toy car. And essentially, as you're racing along, the spring wears out. And so it's almost kind of like managing your spring till you get to the next change pad, and then you have a new spring or a new vehicle. And this is kind of like a weapons racer, kind of like Mario Kart, where you can, yeah, like somebody just threw a tire at me.
Is this something you buy in a capsule?
Yes, exactly. They were like capsule toys, but in the U.S. they actually came out as like penny racers, and you'd kind of buy them at like Kmart or Walmart or something like that in like a little blister pack. So they were released in the U.S. because I had some when I was a little kid. But yeah,
Shenmue would be collecting these things.
Sorry?
Shenmue would be collecting these things.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably they would have been distributed as capsule toys or like in vending machines, and I imagine you probably could have gotten like variety packs of them in the stores or in like a convenience store.
Just like those gotcha machines.
So basically,
though, it looks pretty decent.
It looks decent, you know. So this is one of those games that people tend to throw in the bin because they don't understand what to do. There's like a license plate, or there's like a you have to get your license at the beginning. But when people don't know, when they just get dumped into the game, they don't realize that they're supposed to buy more racers from the get-go before they try to get their license. Because if you try to run a race with just one car, you're basically running on a dead spring the entire, your spring lasts until the first change pad, and then the rest of the race, you're just going really, really slow. So it's like impossible to come in first and get your license. So I just got some money, so I'm going to try to go buy another car over here at the shop. You have like a trading card game thing in here. You've got like a gambling thing that opens up later. You got like all these, there's like a weather station that'll tell you like if it's going to be raining and you need to like change your tires or something like that. There's a lot of there's a garage where you can do like tune-ups and paint your car. There's the save station right there. Little floppy disk.
Sounds like one of a myriad of possible translation projects.
Oh yeah, and I mean seriously, like with this, it's just here's the shop. You'd select the first option, and these are your standard vehicles. I only have 80 coins, so I only earned 5 coins on that last race. I need 90 in order to buy this car. And I've noticed there's a timer when you first boot up the game. It asks you what time it is, or it asks you to confirm the time on your system's clock, and I have noticed that when you set it at early morning, it kind of treats you like you're a child, and things cost less and the game is easier. And when you put it on like PM, like late night time, then it's a lot harder and things cost more. So like I I'm only guessing here, but I think that it's like the salary man who comes home and plays it in the evening. It's like harder, but like for the little kids who are playing it in the morning, it's easier.
That's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah, because it was designed for it was a game designed for kids, but I guess they wanted adults to play it too.
That's ageist.
Yeah, it is kind of ageist. And now here is what I did before. I accidentally sold my off-road car for like 5 coins by accident because I didn't realize that second panel is actually sell, not buy. So yeah, I need to do another race and I need to get more money so that I can buy an off-road vehicle. So yeah, when I go over...
It's a real gacha game. They did it first.
Say what now?
It's a real gacha game. They just did it first before all these online games came out.
Yeah. Basically,
it's a Genshin Impact before Genshin Impact.
So here, when it goes to the map here, you basically the stream's a little okay. There we go. When it goes to the map, you have to place your vehicles in strategic places. So here's the start, and that's where we place our safety vehicle, which has good acceleration, but has a really short spring. But as you can see, it doesn't have to go very far till it gets to the next. And we would choose something like an off-road vehicle. Oh, and we want a vehicle too, so that's good. So this is like our little Subaru STI or whatever. That's what this is. It's like a little off-road
baby.
Little off-road vehicle. Over here on this little really long section, I would say we would need this. This is kind of like your Bel Air. It's like a cruising, coasting vehicle that has really, really bad, it has really rubber bandy suspension and it can't make good turns, but it can go really long distances. It's like a touring vehicle. And then here we'll do the little police van.
This is very in-depth for a game for children, like very tactical. I like it, but is this really suitable for like a 5-year-old?
No, I don't know. I think it's more like, second or third graders, Oh, and they did rip off Mario Kart with the timed, like you got to time your launch.
Well, every game does that, I think.
Yeah, but didn't Mario Kart kind of start that? Oh man, I went the wrong way. Okay, so like in that case, it gives you 2 different ways you could go. And since I went to the right, I ended up using my safety vehicle for a really long time and the spring kind of wore out. So now I'm on my safety vehicle. Now at the bottom you can kind of see how the kilometers per hour kind of go down as your spring gets worn out. I dropped some oil behind me. So you can go off these jumps. The oil you drop behind you, kind of like a banana peel, and then the tire you shoot in front of you at the guy in front of you. So not like that, but you get the idea.
It's like the blue shell. It's like the green shells almost.
Almost like the green shell. Yeah, exactly. It's not like a homing deal, but it is, capable of doing.
I've ever seen courses in this like beyond that first one.
Exactly.
Like, all the footage I've seen is always that beginning area.
That beginning.
That's all that there is.
Right.
It's like these are actually really kind of intricate courses.
Yeah. So we did a podcast episode quite a while back, couple years back, and Kay had this game to cover. And it was like the first thing he said. He was just like, well, I spent some time due to the language barrier. He's like, I spent some time in the whole driver's license course, but I just couldn't figure out what to do. And I never would place because you cannot get first place if you're trying to use one car. Your spring wears out and you just go really slow for the rest of the thing. The idea is to strategically place multiple cars on all the change pads. And whenever you cross a change pad, you switch to a different car, and then that's what allows you to come in first.
I think that's what my problem was when I was playing it. Is I kept losing the spring. I go 5 miles an hour. I was like, oh, I guess I'll lose.
Right. So, and it's important, especially as you go on in the game. So you can tune up things. You can tune up the suspension. You can tune up the spring. You put like a tighter spring in certain cars. You can make a van like a real sleeper, like fast car if you want. But the idea essentially is that you want to strategically place your vehicles with a short spring on areas where you just need to get up and go real fast. Like so for accelerating at the beginning. but then you want to switch over to something that's better for long distance, you know. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I recommend that folks play this. We do have a kind of a tutorial, like a SHIRO 101 video that I did quite a while back, but I did explain exhaustively like how everybody can like get the ball rolling in this game.
I think this was one of our popular videos for quite a while too.
Yeah, it had like over 1,000 views, which is big for us back in the time. So I just won cash and I won a little car. Like, what does that look like? It looks like a little CRX, you know, like with the little.
A little bit, yeah.
It looks like a.
Is there a little 8.6 in here?
I don't. Yeah, I believe there is. I actually do. So we need to go spend some cash.
In many games did not all these special things, but like these courses that had a lot of branches, like San Francisco Rush 2049 or Beetle Adventure Racing or Hot Wheels Racing, and I really like that about the races of that era, that they weren't dumbed down, that you could drive the tracks many times and still find new shortcuts and stuff like that.
What does this say? Saturn. I don't know what that says, and I forget what this is.
Is it
Yeah,
save
but
game?
Sorry?
Is it it's not save game, is
Here's
it?
save. It's like this is. Oh, maybe that is the save. You know what? You're right. That's Cebu, because over here this is like a notepad or something like that. So yeah, you're right. This is records. That's what this is. That's your records, Recodo, and then this is Saturn save. So we could save.
At what point, as a Saturn gamer, do you just give up and learn Japanese?
Well, I used to. My katakana and kanji was much better a few years ago, and it's one of those things that if you don't practice it, then it just wears out.
Yeah,
you know.
it goes away.
Yeah, it goes away.
Before the English patch for PSO2 was out, and I was playing Phantasy Star Universe on Japanese servers and PSO2 on the Japanese servers, I was pretty good at recognizing quite a bit of katakana because everything in that game is katakana.
Right.
But now it's like I still recognize some of them if I think about it for a minute, but it's not instant like it used to be.
A lot of that seems to be hiragana and katakana, so you can get by learning 2 alphabets and then trying to get through, I guess.
Yeah.
Instead of learning kanji.
What sucks with some of the kanji though is the resolution's so low that you're like, I don't know what I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know with Grandia, when I was putting the font table together for that, I was just sending it to like people, and I was like, it might be this, it might be that too. I'm not sure. And it's like I have all the sympathy in the world for like young Japanese kids trying to play those games.
So essentially, this is a collection game, like Pokemon, for example. You know, you've got your what's essentially like your little decks of cars, 10 pages, and it is a racing game, and it is kind of a strategy game, and it's a tuning game because you get to tune them up, kind of like Gran Turismo. It's all that stuff, so it's crazy.
How are the controls?
Controls are great. The controls are go play it, check it out. I recommend it. The controls are nice. I will say this:
the analog controller.
This is just D-pad digital. This is just I'm using the D-pad, and it's nice, and you know, handling is nice and quick. Of course, I'm using a car that has really sharp turning right now, and you will notice that that when I use like the Chevy Bel Air or whatever that teal color car is, it has almost no turning. Like this right here, this car has a really long spring, so it can go forever, long distance, but it's terrible at turning. And that's just kind of like the mechanic of the game. You have to kind of get used to that. But that said, even that considered, the handling and the control is really good. It's not. It's just B to accelerate, and then I think it's C to brake. And then, or no, I'm sorry. C is your weapon. There you go. It's A to brake. And there's an oil spill right there that I had to avoid. And I'm in second place. Sorry?
The courses just don't seem very technical, like in the classical racing game sense.
Yes, they are. I've only done the first 2 courses, which are like the baby courses, and I have to get. There are several other courses that I don't have a license to drive on yet, so I need to place first in this race. Really,
way up onto the big boy courses.
Yeah, I need to place first right now. Really is what I need to do, but I'm not going to. I don't think. The way that it's going right now, unless I get this guy, which I didn't. Oh man, yeah, he wins. So close.
The graphics aged really well. Like this looks.
Because it's cartoony, right?
Yeah. You would just need to like drive up the resolution a bit, and this would look perfectly fine on a modern system.
Exactly. Well, I mean, there are SHIRO Park games for GameCube, PS2. Arguably, they've. I actually have a lot more fun with this one than I do with the more modern games. They've just kind of become grindy, and that's kind of what they are. Kind of like Pokemon in that way. It's like very grindy for kids to just burn a lot of time with, but. It does get a lot more fun when you get up into the higher race courses, but again, I biffed that one. I need to do it again. As Popful Mail would say, I biffed it.
I need to really play that one.
Have you not played Popful Mail?
No, I've never had it.
You really need to play it. It's a great game. I mean, just play a burned copy. I have it on my Wii, Sega CD version.
Funny story. I actually got rid of my Sega CD.
Yeah, but you don't need a Sega CD to play it. All right, I'm gonna try this again.
I mean, hasn't everyone already moved on to like the Mega EverDrive or the Mega SD or something like that?
Yeah, the Mega SD. I've been using my Mister for the Sega CD stuff.
I will stop using my Genesis Tower of Power when you rip it from my cold dead hands.
Well,
Yeah.
I still don't think they released anything for the 32X though.
No, so the Mega EverDrive Pro, I think, will play 32X games, but you have to have the 32X.
You have to have the 32X. It won't play it without it.
Oh, okay,
It can do the Sega CD without it, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I play it because I've never had a Sega CD. But I'm pretty sure you have to have like the 32X has enough
That
hardware
was a
in
bad
it
start.
that I don't think it's an option to just emulate it with the power coming out of Genesis.
Yeah, you probably need external power, I'd imagine. So you can technically run the 32X without the power adapter for like Genesis stuff, but it's not good for it.
I understand Trekkies. The Mega Drive is one of few systems I really want to use original hardware because I can't possibly stand the emulated sound of a Yamaha 2612.
Yeah, some emulators really screw it up. There's some that aren't too bad. That are passable at least. You just have to actually go in and set the settings up correctly.
Yeah, I think the Mister and the other was it the Mega SG actually have ways to do different sounding Yamaha chips as well.
The other thing is like some will put it on like the lowest possible settings as the default, but if you go in there and like raise the quality, it's gonna sound a lot better.
And I think the Mega EverDrive Pro also handles some special kind of additional sound for the Master System games. I forget what the exact...
It has the FM chip support in it.
Okay, yeah.
Which I just have there's a power-based converter someone made years ago that had the FM chip built into it. So I just have one of those.
Yeah, I think I remember that one. The one I think was DB Electronics did,
Yep.
right?
What's the big deal with the 32X that there are a lot of solutions for Sega CD, but
Well, the 32X is just it's rare. There's only like 30-some games for it, and people just don't care. They're not all bad. There's some decent ones. Don't just rule out the whole library.
I like the 32X.
Yeah, I mean,
there's two
I would
titles.
rather have the 32X than the Jaguar. But
Oh, me
like,
too. Heck yeah. Jaguars.
It's not setting the bar high.
Jaguar's a neat
I mean,
curiosity,
I'd say
but
it's like. So, let me put it this way: like the 32X, yeah, it has a small library, but if you just pick a random game, you have a far higher chance of getting something decent than you do in quite a few other libraries.
give me
For
10.
similar kinds of hardware.
Give me like top 10 must own or must play games for 32X.
Well, I'd say probably you have Virtua Racing and Virtua Fighter. Those are two very good ports.
Perfect. Yep.
Super Tempo.
How about Star Wars Arcade?
Yeah, Star Wars Arcade I put in there because it's really the only way to play it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
One I would put in there just because I'm a Trekkie is the Star Trek Bridge Simulator, which is actually a very good conversion of it.
Oh, I was wondering about that one.
What is in your opinion the best Trek?
Of what?
What in your opinion is the best Trek show? And why is it Deep Space Nine?
To be honest, I had a very hard time getting into Deep Space Nine when it was on the air.
Yeah.
No complaints there. The first season is rough on that show.
And I just have never really gone back and rewatched it. I've been meaning to, I just haven't gotten around to it.
Holy,
Wait, are you saying
like
you've never
season two like blows
I haven't
everything
finished
out of the
it,
water.
no. It's one of those ones where like I've tried to get into it and I just never could get past that first season. Though
Okay,
and
so-
it's like one of those. Can I finish?
Sorry.
No.
It's one of those things where like I've been meaning to go back and watch it. I just haven't ever gotten around to it. And it's like it's one of those ones where I know I need to because like I had the same opinion of like Voyager when it was on the air. Then like years later it was on like TNN or one of those is like reruns and I watched Voyager and like this actually wasn't bad. I liked it. And it's like it has like a lot of the same things. Those first two seasons are very rough, but then once you get past that, it's fine. So it's just I just need to go find the time to go back and watch it really.
So like Voyager is
Of the ones
discount.
like,
Sorry.
of the ones like that I've seen, I would say probably my favorite overall around one is probably like TNG, just because you can't go wrong with like it's good middle ground. Voyager has some parts of it that I really really like, but like when Voyager's like on its mark, it's amazing. When it's bad, it's bad.
Yeah,
And then,
I
like-
still think the worst episode of all Star Trek has to be the one where the commander and what's his name transform into the lizard.
Yes.
Those lizard things.
Yes.
That was the
Oh,
worst
yeah.
Star Trek episode of all
Let's pretend
time.
that doesn't exist.
That's
Actually, I
pretend
think I read online that was actually written out of canon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yep.
Trekkies.
Those have to turn into lizard people.
The best.
But then also like the original series also kind of just has like a special place just because yes you have Shatner cheese, but then when you really look at it they're all being cheesy.
They got a lot of good commentary even back then on Star Trek,
Yeah.
the OG show.
People give Shatner too much crap. He wasn't a bad actor on that show. He did what he needed to do for the show. You weren't meant to take the show 100% serious. It was supposed to be that way.
The other side of
Campy.
it is like a lot of those actors, including Shatner, they're coming from like stage performing.
right.
Whereas that's kind of thing where you do overact in that because the people are so far away they can't see all the subtle things on your face. And it's one of the things where like if you watch a lot of
Emphasize.
TV from back then, it's like that because they haven't really gotten to the thing where it's like you don't have to act that way when you're on TV.
Right.
The camera's right in your face.
Yeah, but I guess in terms of the top 10 for the 32X,
Getting back to that.
yeah, sorry, I get Trek crazy sometimes. I think Bridge Commander. What you're saying the other one was?
Yeah, so I'd say Bridge Commander, Star Wars Arcade, Virtua Racing, Virtua Fighter.
That's 4.
Tempo you could put in there. Colibri is the best Hummingbird game.
Calibri.
Oh,
Wait,
sorry,
what?
Colibri. Yeah, Colibri. Sorry.
Go. Okay.
Best
How about
Hummingbird game.
Chaotix?
Yeah, Chaotix isn't bad. It just could have used a little more polish, I think.
And don't
But
people?
seriously?
Yeah, it's a decent platformer for what it is, and it looks really nice.
And then you have
it needs a bit more polish.
Mortal
Doom
Kombat
20.
2.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat 2. That's probably of like that generation of ports. That's probably the best one.
How do I unlock?
I'd also say like the Space Harrier and the Afterburner ports are solid. You can't go wrong with them.
Right.
Doom for when it is done, it is not as bad as people try and make it out to be.
Well, it's not the Saturn port.
Yeah,
It is not the Saturn
I'm-
part.
yeah, and it's just like even when you compare it to like the Super Nintendo, like there's merits that give it that I'd say rank it higher. It definitely runs better.
It just the music is just the biggest hit. It just sounds like farts.
Yeah, and it's very obviously just did a very quick like MIDI to FM conversion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have Shadow Squadron. That's a good one. Metalhead, I'd say, is also pretty good for what it was.
Are there any RPGs on the 32X at all?
There is Romance of the Four Kingdoms, or Romance of the Three Kingdoms 4.
Oh, I could never possibly get into that series. I don't even know how to start.
Well, the 32X version is Japan only.
Oh, okay, well.
So the answer is you're not going to start that one unless you learn Japanese.
I accidentally bought, like, for not a cheap amount either, Romance for the Saturn, and I tried playing around, and I had absolutely no clue what I was doing.
Yeah, it's a very like big brain kind of game.
I think didn't Nick do a review of that, Dave?
I think
Romance,
so, and I think
the Koei one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said it was actually really good. He had to play it like 4 times before he could get it.
Yeah, I remember his review. He's constantly like, I got this far, and then I found I was locked, so I started over. Then I got locked again, so I started over.
Yeah, and you're like, wow.
Welcome to those series.
What you have to do to persevere.
I still think one of my favorite reviews of his is Shanghai Triple Threat. That one or the Golf Links. Those are pretty funny.
I think I'm gonna go with the truck for this. Oh no, this. Okay, so this tells you the length of the on the bottom of these cars. You can see it ends with like a 1, 2, a 3. So this one's off-roading, but it's got like a 3 spring, or 3 is like the measurement for how long it lasts. This one is the starting vehicle. It has great acceleration, but it doesn't last very long. That's why this one's like your off-road. This one's like your long distance guy. It has an 8, and then the Jeep here, or the van here, is a 13. So that's a good one too.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's just me, but Japanese like pickup trucks look almost alien different than like US ones, or maybe is that just me?
No, it's because they don't need a huge Dodge Ram. They don't need a huge.
I don't know. It's just funny to me that the American trucks, like Ford F-150s and stuff like that, or like these giant things, like the Japanese things are like little cute chibi versions of it.
I could just like imagine seeing like a Ford like F-350 just blocking an entire like road in Japan.
just a giant American guy with flags on the back of his truck.
Yeah, I could just see that as like a meme where it's like all these angry Japanese people with like the road being blocked and just giant F-350 just sitting there.
It's like, this is America.
Japan actually has a history that dates back farther than 300 years. Just like Europe, so we have small roads for horses and carriages and lots.
Oh man, I watched like Top Gear, them driving in Italy. Holy shit! Holy crap!
I would be terrified.
Yeah, that was terrifying. Like they were driving sports cars through Italy, like the streets. Oh my gosh!
It is crazy. I mean, I've visited Italy, Paris, even the UK for that matter, and it's like, you can obviously see. I mean, Rome is a great example of a city that was not designed. The city planning had no idea what a car was.
We designed it around the width of a standard carriage,
obviously
they didn't carry over.
Yeah, it's amazing for walking though, let me tell you. I mean, walking through Rome, it's like being at Disneyland. Like you can go anywhere on foot.
Don't say Disneyland.
Okay, I won't say Disneyland. It's way better than Disneyland because you're walking and then all of a sudden, you turn a corner and the Parthenon is right there and you're like, wow.
The Parthenon is not in Rome.
It's not in What am I thinking of? Oh, I'm thinking of the part. I'm thinking of the.
You're thinking of Athens.
No. What is the huge? What is the huge? No. In Italy, it's like right in the middle of a grouping of buildings. It's huge. It's not called the Parthenon. It's called the.
This like Spanish steps or something.
It's like a huge temple. Oh gosh, it's gigantic. I just can't remember the name of it. And no, it's not the Colosseum. I can't.
The Vatican?
No, it's not the Vatican. Dang it! It sounds like Parthenon. It
I
sounds like Parthenon. What is that building in
think I know
Italy?
what you're. I think I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah, and I
The
Pantheon. Yeah, it's the Pantheon. It's amazing.
There we
like
go.
when you see that for the first time, it's like I don't know.
This is like a game of charades. We have like the Vatican.
Well, you know what? It's
the Colosseum.
okay. So I did terrible on that race because I was concentrating on. So yeah, basically there's like I got the gold cup on the first one, but I got to get it on the second and then the third before I can open up the driver's license tests for the other courses, which is like there's a gambling course. Okay. So down here in the bottom corner, there's like a casino course, right? And then up here you have kind of like a Peach's Castle kind of course. I don't know. That's what it looks like. It looks like Peach's Castle, but it's a different color.
Where's Rainbow Road?
There's no Rainbow Road, but you do have over here, you have like the city, the like Metropolis course. And then over here, you have the Alps, I guess the Matterhorn or whatever. And then over here, you have like a pirate ship course, which I guess...
Basically Disneyland Racers?
Say what?
This is basically Disneyland Racers?
It's kind of like it.
I don't know. I know if it's just me, but
What
is
is
it
this
me or does anybody not like the Matterhorn?
I love the Matterhorn. What are you talking
The only
about?
time I was at Disneyland, I'm not old enough to remember it.
Oh,
It jerks
I
you
was never
around
big
a lot,
fan of the
like-
Matterhorn, weirdly enough.
It's
you
still...
mean the Disneyland one,
Yeah,
not the real mountain.
not the real mountain. Yeah, the Disney. So
We
this
hate
is
the rail
like...
now. We want them to tear it down.
This one right here
Just
is...
build an actual Matterhorn at the Matterhorn Mountain.
I'm gonna start with this guy off-road and then come over here and go
I've only
safe.
ever been to Disney World. What is this Matterhorn thing? Like I know of the mountain. I've never been to the mountain, obviously, but
Oh, it's
It's
Disneyland.
kinda-
They have it at
Yeah.
Disneyland.
It's one of Disneyland.
No, he said Disney. He only went to Disney World.
Disney World
Oh.
doesn't have it. They have the Expedition Everest.
I think I've been on the mountain. I've obviously not been in the Disneyland version.
Yeah.
Ooh, you cooking tea back there?
Like it's one of their older roller coasters, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like you're in like a bobsled sort of ride, holding onto the side of it, and it just shoots you through the mountains.
Sounds
Yeah.
cool.
the closest thing they have is like that the one that one ride right next to Splash Mountain where it's like it's just a train roller coaster like for kids.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
The Runaway Train or whatever.
No,
Oh,
it
yeah.
had a name. It had a
Thunder
name.
Mountain Railroad.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
that one. There you go. So I think it was another Song of the South thing that they kind of slowly pretended stopped existing.
Yeah, I always wondered why they made Splash Mountain off of that movie.
I mean,
It's
they
like
seem to-
maybe not do that.
Like they have Zippity Doodah playing
Time when
on
it was
the
made, they
intercom.
probably didn't like think it was an issue. And then
It was made in the '90s though.
Was it?
Yeah, it was headed by Michael Eisner. It was like, yeah, let's make a cool ride for like
Right.
kids and stuff.
We'll base it off of this racially charged content.
Yeah, we refer to Splash Mountain every time we go as Racist Mountain.
Yeah,
So,
you know,
they-
in the early 90s, they still weren't very, very progressive, even in the early
Yeah.
90s.
Well, they're making it Princess and the Frog based, so I'm kind of happy about that because that movie also.
Well, that
rocks.
makes sense. It's a bayou, right? That makes sense.
Well, it's not really
Yeah.
Bayou.
Oh,
Like,
No, there's a
like
in the ride in Splash Mountain. There is a part that you go through where there's like a
Yeah.
Dixie boat and everything like that.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
like right in the middle of it, right
Yeah.
between the
Isn't
entrance
the whole
and the.
story like the Brer Rabbit story, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly?
Song of the
It's
South.
the Briar Patch.
Who's
Yeah,
Princess?
it's
What?
Who wrote Princess and the Frog? Like the real guy, the original guy.
I'm not sure to be honest.
I thought that was an original composition, but I mean, it's probably just a gender switch of, or not
Yeah.
a gender switch even.
It's just the
Disney-
Frog
it's
Prince.
Disney's- yeah, it's Disney's telling of the Frog Prince, basically.
We're talking about Disney on a Saturn Saturn stream.
I mean, we brought up Fox.
Nothing's off the table.
Yeah.
So here's the thing,
Well, I
does
literally just called Splash Mountain Racist Mountain, so
Yeah.
I mean,
Does
we've
Disney
gone
own the right
beyond.
to Gone with the Wind because it's MGM, and I don't know if MGM is fully Disney or something happened.
I think Disney does own it technically, because if it's MGM,
they could redo it. They could remaster Gone with the Wind and then make a
Well,
ride
that's
about it.
that gets remastered every 5 years. So
No, Gone with the Wind was on HBO Max, I believe. So
Oh,
MGM's still not owned because they own the James Bond properties as well.
Should have picked up that tire. He's gonna lob it at me now.
Because I remember there was that whole controversy of them censoring or like removing Gone with the Wind and a couple other movies because of some insensitive stuff in it.
So is it based on the Frog Prince?
Disney doesn't own MGM. They bought
kind of like
Fox.
their take on it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's the Brothers Grimm, the German fairy tale. They really love their German and
Is
And
that
Dutch, Danish.
Der Frosch Prince?
Yeah.
Or Der Frosch?
the Froschkönig.
Der Frosch. Oh, the Frog King. I gotcha.
Yeah. Then where I live, the biggest amusement park we have near us is Hershey Park.
Oh, dude, I used to go there all the time as a kid.
It's not a bad one for being in PA.
Yeah, I remember I used to
They
go
have
to
a lot
the.
of roller coasters now.
Yeah, it was nice. I remember I used to go to the Hershey factory over there, the Crayola factory nearby there. It's pretty sweet.
Which they're even
Actually,
putting in another roller coaster. Like last time I was there, they were putting in another one, and it's like I don't even know where they're getting the space to put it in.
I kind of want to go back to Six Flags in Jersey.
Have you ever played like Roller Coaster Tycoon? If you run out of space, you just make the roller coaster go through the other coaster.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well, no, where they're clearing space, it's like I didn't even know they owned that.
Last lap, and
Yeah,
he passes me. That's terrible.
Again,
Yeah, they
I'm-
probably buy up land and stuff all the time over there.
So like Disney World owns an entire county of Florida and part of its government. Like they own their own fire department and everything. Like when they made Animal Kingdom, they literally just like bulldozed a whole bunch of swamp and put a savanna there. They have so much room to.
That's pretty much what they did with all of Disney World. They just bought swampland.
I mean, yeah.
They have
We're
enough
talking about
space.
Celebration.
They have enough.
Celebration,
I-
Florida.
Yeah, so I used to live in Celebration. It is a total crap hole of a town. Like the houses.
You
are
actually lived there?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
I one time met with a real estate agent to pretend I was looking to buy property because
Oh
I
my
was so
God.
intrigued. I went on a whole tour. I spent like 6 hours there. I was so intrigued by the concept of the Walt Disney Corporation essentially owning,
I can
a
watch.
town.
They sold it as soon as like the villages were done. Like North and South Village were like the big neighborhoods, and as soon as the construction was done, I think they sold it to some developer that was just collecting lease money or something. And like the downtown went to crap. They took away the parking. Like it wasn't like a horrible place to
Wow.
live. It just that the people were terrible, and it was just a planned community back before planned communities. Like people really knew how to do them well.
The only thing I know about that area, the only thing I know about that area is that some kid got ate by a crocodile there.
Yeah, I heard that.
Alligator.
Yeah.
An alligator.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
It's typical Florida stuff.
Typical.
But that's like every body of water is going to have an alligator in it. It's just nature, you know. It's like
You live down there, Nova?
what?
Nova, you live down there in Florida?
Yeah, for a while. Before I
okay.
went
No.
to work.
Okay. So
Then, like-
I actually lived down there for a long time in the canal that was in my backyard. An alligator emerged from it one afternoon. It was quite the sight. I'm talking like, 30 feet from like my back door. I was like, holy.
Oh.
Yeah, it was, and that was Boca Raton also. We're not talking swampland. That was Boca Raton.
I didn't know people still lived in Boca Raton. I thought everyone just abandoned it because it's Boca Raton.
Oh no, property value skyrocketing there. If everyone's moving down anywhere in Florida, right?
Oh yeah, Orlando. I live on the east side of Orlando, and everything is just getting so expensive.
How's
Oh, yeah.
everyone from Florida here? This is crazy.
I'm from PA, so I don't know about you.
Oh,
Yeah,
I do know that Celebration's a lot better nowadays, but yeah, it's just another community now.
Like probably like
Yeah.
the
I just remember going to that high school, so like I have nothing positive to say about that town.
did you guys like the Braves at all, or were the Braves not that well liked there?
The what?
In
The
Florida?
Atlanta Braves. Yeah.
Oh, now it's
Atlanta Braves.
raining.
We
Didn't
have
the Atlanta Braves have a stadium in Florida?
No. You're thinking of the Tampa Bay Rays?
Are you thinking of Atlanta in Georgia?
Oh, Atlanta.
No, because I remember I watched a bunch of Atlanta Brave games in Florida.
So we used to have the Tampa Bay Devil Rays before they got traded somewhere else. I forget, but I don't really watch baseball anyway, so I forget.
I know, like a lot of like the New York sports teams, they're actually in New Jersey.
Well,
Yeah,
hold on a second.
that's why I was
Tampa Bay-
confused.
Tampa Bay Rays are still a
Tampa Bay
team.
is- yeah, they're still in Tampa. So the Mets and the Yankees do spring training in Florida, in Tampa, and in what's it called there, Port St. Lucie. Maybe not Tampa for the Yankees. Port
Yeah.
St. Lucie is the Mets. Yeah,
The
and
Yankees
Mets
actually
and the
have
Yankees
gone to
play in New
a-
York.
Oh, yeah, because the Yankees actually do spring training out where I am in Arizona.
Oh, is that where they do it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
because they play a bunch of games against the Diamondbacks sometimes.
Yep.
Really? When
Yeah,
I-
and so do
when I was
the
a kid-
Padres. They go to Arizona.
Yeah,
You want to? I was gonna say real quick anecdote. You want to laugh about the Rays? So when I was a kid playing Little League, right? The Tampa Bay Devil Rays, before they were the Rays,
Right.
The team just got announced. Nobody knew what the logo was supposed to be.
Right.
Somehow, I guess the Little League organization needed to add 2 extra teams. They did the Diamondbacks and the Rays. Of course, that year I was assigned to play on the Devil Rays. So they printed up the logo on the jerseys and the hats, just basically an artistic inspiration of what they thought it might look like. Then
Right.
mid-season, they announced their real logo, and we're a bunch of jerks running around on a field with these bootleg Devil Rays logos on our jerseys and our hats.
jeez.
That's
It was
awesome.
So funny. I know. I still have it too. Proud to be.
I thought you were going to say that they just stole it and didn't give you guys any credit.
Oh man.
Oh no, like the Mighty Ducks, nah. District 5.
This is a 16 lap course
Hey,
right
what are you
here.
playing? I know this game, but I can't remember the name. I have
Choroq
it.
Park.
Yes.
Choroq Park. That's Derek, right? I can't see you,
That's
sir.
Derek.
Yeah, I recognize your guys' voices now from doing so many streams with you. But yeah,
Does it help if I say, "Hey, how you doing?"
no man, I got you. Yeah,
Derek's easy to pick out of
your
the crowd 'cause he has
accent.
that
Yeah, but
Jersey- he's
I
got that New
recognize
York
Trekkies
accent.
now. I recognize Trekkies. And I think I recognize Emerald Nova too, like when he comes on, because he's super serious. No, I'm just kidding. He's always and if you get somebody
Okay.
coming on correcting technical things, it's probably Emerald. He's like, well, actually,
Not to be pedantic, but
no, yeah,
I mean, I assume I'm usually wrong if I'm ever doing that on the Saturn.
yeah, no, you always have the correct information. I always feel like I'm putting my foot in my
He
mouth.
has the receipts.
He has the.
That's why we leverage against you guys because we're not as technically know-how on the,
Yeah,
on
no,
the system.
I am happy to be corrected. I always say, like, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to spread misinformation. But
I do.
yeah, I have a general working knowledge of. But no, I love it when you get technical about things, because you're schooling me. I'm learning.
How
Promise.
How can you recognize us just by our voices?
Oh, no, Werner, how do you think we can?
That is to say that yeah. At least I'm getting used to hearing you enough that I don't have to actually look see who's in the chat.
by the way, I
Du
looked
sieht
it
so
up.
gut.
The Yankees spring training is in Tampa. I guess they also do it in Arizona. Huh.
Yeah, Tampa and
Yeah,
Aren't there
Arizona.
enough New Yorkers in Florida as is? Why do we have to get like the entire baseball team?
I know.
Yeah, the only other time is interleague play. They would do. You get the Yankees
Yeah.
in Tampa Bay.
Right, or the Miami, well, now the Miami Marlins. I used to go to games there. If they ever
Oh,
played
yeah.
the Mets, it was like 90% Mets fans, and like, it was,
Oh, dude, I forgot about the
stadium was
Miami
taken over.
Marlins. That was a
Yeah.
relatively
Yeah,
new team.
I think the Angels also play in Arizona for spring training. I don't know who the Angels again. They're not. Is it California as
Anaheim.
well?
Anaheim,
Anaheim,
they're
I gotcha.
American League.
I gotcha. Yeah, because the Angels play a lot in Arizona. Because I go to a couple of their games when they do spring training.
Yeah.
It's pretty
You're
good.
Peoria, right? It's all Peoria, Arizona, right? For spring training?
Yeah. Yeah, it's down there. It's down there in that area.
Yeah.
It's a nice area though.
Or they use it because the weather's good, you know? It's not snowing, not raining usually. It's just good weather.
Exactly. Just gotta worry about heat exhaustion
Yeah.
and dehydration.
So see up at the
People are
top.
not meant to live in Arizona.
Wait, what?
I don't know, man. Northern Arizona is nice. I keep telling Pat, I like if I move from San Diego, that's the one place I'm kind of eyeballing is northern Arizona, like Prescott or something like that, because it just, I love the pine trees. I love the Grand Canyon, proximity to the Grand Canyon, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Northern Arizona is really nice, especially in the summer months.
How rich do you got to be to live in Sedona? Like, because that place is like heaven on earth.
Well, if you want real rich, you need to move this to Scottsdale. That's where all the rich people are.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't want to live in Scottsdale.
You don't. It sucks.
No,
Scottsdale
but
sucks.
I wouldn't mind living in Sedona, but I don't think I could afford it.
Like, what's kind of funny where I live is I live in State College, which is where Penn State is.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, I've spent a lot of time there.
A lot of if you're looking for a house there, they're like ridiculously expensive. Like a 3-bedroom house, people are gonna be asking for like $400,000 for. And it's like people are like, but then you go like just like 30 minutes away to like Phillipsburg or Bellefonte, like you can get that same size house for like $50,000.
To be honest,
It's ridiculous.
400 for that right now is a pretty good deal.
Well,
Like everything's jumped up.
Okay, you guys are West Coast, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah, but Arizona's usually cheaper than California.
My mom's family actually comes from Altoona, Pennsylvania, if you've heard of that one-horse town.
Heard of it. Not been there.
Actually, have you guys
It's
ever
all
gone to
good.
the drive-ins there? It's like Twin Pines or something, or Twin Peaks drive-in over
Twin
there.
Peaks.
Yeah, we used to have quite a few drive-ins around here. Now I don't think there's any really. I think a lot of them have closed down.
Funny enough.
'Cause I remember I went.
Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry about that.
Well, some of
I
the
was gonna say
drive-ins.
that oh, so God damn it, Dave, go.
Nope. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll wait.
Okay.
Just
I was
remind
saying
me.
that there's this really nice one in Pennsylvania on the border of New Jersey I used to always go to. There's like a convenience store, you just go up like a hill and there's like a drive. It was really nice. I liked it.
Yeah, a couple drive-ins opened up during COVID, actually. Yeah, just
That makes
because.
perfect sense. I
Yeah.
don't understand how with all the theaters in Albuquerque are still closed. Like, why don't we have drive-in theaters showing The Matrix or something?
I know, right?
Well,
Really?
a lot of it, like in our area, a lot of the land's just been bought up by developers who build houses on them. So there's just like they're not there anymore. The last one we had in the area was, I think it was called like Starlight, and it was kind of like the people who owned it like tried to keep everything was like well maintained, but they didn't really want to like super modernize it or anything because they thought that was part of the charm of it. So it was like you went there, it was like a snapshot of the 1950s of like how like the concessions building, like you walked in and like you felt like you walked in like a 50s like kind of like diner kind of thing,
Yeah.
where you went to get like your popcorn, your soda, and all that.
Yep.
Kind of cool.
Do
But
you
like that was
guys,
the last one, and I think it just closed down a couple years ago.
do you guys ever get out of your car?
Oh, what?
What?
Do you guys ever get out of your cars? Like it's drive-throughs and theaters and
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to get out to buy the popcorn and then go back in your car with a speaker.
Yeah, so it's basically like how the drive-in worked was you kind of like, it was just like a big, huge open field kind of thing. And it was kind of like a cheaper way to see a movie because like they didn't have to like maintain a build or anything. So the movies were usually cheaper when you would go there. You would just kind of park in the field and then like you could set up lawn chairs, or some people it's like sometimes set up like a small little picnic or something. You just kind of like watched a movie in the evening. It was usually in the summer when it was nice and warm out.
Now they just broadcast to your radio, right? They don't use an actual
Yeah.
speaker anymore.
Yeah, they don't use the speakers anymore. They usually just broadcast to your radio.
I'm wondering how they get away with that with like the FCC. Like,
They just do short band enough to get away with it. Like
Yeah, because you
Like
don't have
here
you
with-
don't have to register with the FCC if it's like a small enough distance.
Like Christmas
Yeah.
decorations, you know, they have like the little broadcast.
Yeah, because here in State College, like ever since like the early '90s, we've been doing the thing of like the fireworks synchronized to music for 4th of July, and like the technology for it is actually developed at Penn State. It's like they've been doing that for years, and like they would always just broadcast it over the radio, just a short band thing.
Yep.
They'd say like just tune to this frequency, and you'd have the music to go with the fireworks.
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine like doing it in a German car though, like in a Porsche or something. I think that'd be so cramped.
Well, I like small cars. It's just when I lived in America, it always seemed like an incredibly car-oriented country. Like there were very little sidewalks and everybody everywhere in their cars.
Well, it's kind
Diverse
of-
country. Depends where you go. Yeah.
and it's also like at least where I live, like it's it's so rural to a point where like you really can't just walk places. You have to drive because it would take so long for you to walk that it would just kind of be pointless.
Correct. And
Oh,
the suburban model just
no.
does not work for like public transportation
You
because
hit me right.
the population density is so low.
Yeah,
Even
compared to
like
like Germany, where the population density is a little bit higher.
And like even in like some places where there are a bit more metro, like for a couple years I lived down in the Baltimore area, and for my one job I had to commute to DC every day, which was hell. But even then, like I had to drive because if I tried to take public transportation, the amount of like different like trains and buses I would have to jump through to get to my destination, it would have taken me just as much, if not longer, and it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting just the architecture and just the land density and how much is built up is kind of interesting in that nature compared to other countries. Because like driving from Germany to probably I don't know I'm trying to think off the top of my head I guess to like the UK is probably there's some states where that's like in the same state.
Yeah, it would be it would be the equivalent for us though, like just driving to a different state. So like I think like Texas is about the size of France roughly.
Florida's
Maybe a
maybe a
little
little bigger or a little smaller than Italy, or a little bigger. I can't remember, but they're
Yeah.
comparable.
It's a huge country.
Yeah, it's just like the
driving-
size is just it's a night and day difference.
It's a
You have to figure
fascinating. It's a fascinating culture. It's a really fascinating culture shock. I once went to Israel, and it was ridiculously small. You could get from one end of the country to the other really quick.
Mm-hmm.
It was fascinating. So it's like
Yeah.
Like for
You
me,
got to figure too. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say like if I wanted to like go visit like California, to me that's like I have to plan that quite a bit of time in advance and have to get like plane tickets and that because it's just that to me would be almost like probably for you like going to visit a different like continent.
Country. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it just takes like a lot more thought to go into it. Whereas like to you guys, like it'd be like just going like the other side of your country probably is like nothing to you
Yeah.
for like visiting or something like
Actually,
that.
how far is I was about to say Uster, right? How far away is Austria from Germany, anyways? Like, what's the driving distance?
I think it borders on Germany.
Yeah, I know that. I spent. Is it like a long drive? Is it like an hour or two, or?
Yeah, I guess like how long would it take you to drive there?
Depends where you are. He's saying it's on the border, so 3 seconds
Yeah.
if you're on the border.
Yeah.
I guess like for where you're at, I guess.
Okay, so like Munich to Vienna, what's that drive like?
There you go. There you go.
Munich to Vienna, that I don't think that's 4 or 5 hours. I don't know. I have to Google it. But
Okay.
if you want to drive from northern Germany, like the northern coast, to like Munich, that would take like I don't know 10 hours.
Okay,
Oof,
so
yeah, that's
like
pretty long.
it takes you more time to get from Tallahassee to Key West, and I think half that time is spent like driving on the Keys bridges. But
Yeah, like, so for me to like get from like, cause I'm like right smack in the middle of PA. For me to drive to Philadelphia, it's about 2.5 to 3 hours, and that's just because a lot of it's going twisting back and forth through the mountains for a bit.
I think 10 hours from you. 10 hours is DC, right? It takes 10 hours to get to DC.
I have to
PA?
Google this because I don't have.
For me, it'd be about 3.5 hours to get to DC.
Oh wow, dang.
so like
Again, because quite a bit of that would be me twisting through the mountains because there's no like. Because like I would have to take 322, then get to 81 to 83 and take it down, or you could take 99, I guess, at this point. But either way, it's going to be probably about 3 hours, give or take.
Yeah. Speaking of time, though, I think that's about time for us, right, Dave? It's
Yeah.
about 2 hours.
Yeah, if she may be up already. I told her brother, like, if she wakes up, you're just gonna babysit until I'm done here. But yeah, I need to go do some dishes too and get a bunch of other stuff done.
Yeah,
So-
I gotta get back to work. But it was a good talk, though. That was a really interesting talk.
Yeah,
So-
I love it when
you know, we need
more
to
people
stay
are on
top
like
the whole
this.
time.
No, that's
So
great.
fun.
I mean, we were not. I didn't have like a the game that we streamed today didn't really tie into anything we've been talking about or doing. We have like several weeks to go before we're gonna get into like relevant content, contextual streaming. But so I just chose this game because it's easy to pick up and play. But yeah, no, I welcome all of the off-topic conversation. So thanks for joining us, guys. And Pat, do you have anything you want to plug? Anything you want to say? Oh yeah, everybody go download Sakura Wars Columns. Go download it for your Dreamcast, play it, and get it from the source. Don't be downloading it from CD Romance or whatever. Yeah. Take it from the source, and be sure to shout those guys and give them a thank you, because they worked hard for you guys to enjoy that. And check out the latest pinball podcast, Sega Saturn SHIRO. Thank you, Nick, for doing a great editing job. Thank you guys for playing all those games and being great on that cast. It was a great podcast episode. I think I listened to it twice already, just because I like to hear your guys' takes on those games. And anything else, Pat? Any videos coming?
Nope, nothing from me. Nothing from Ben.
Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's he's working on like a tutorial video that Derek was.
For Sakura Wars to get the download. I think to both patch it and download the 100% in the DLC.
Right. Okay. So hopefully that'll come soon.
Out very soon.
Yeah. Sorry we're late on that, but yeah, we're all busy guys, and it is what it is. But we'll do the best we can. And then I guess next step we'll be reaching out to somebody in the Redump project, hopefully who has a connection over in Japan and can maybe reach out on those unreleased games, because I would love to at least approach that guy and see if he's willing. And if he flat out says no, he has no plans to dump it, then at least we know where we stand on that. But all right. Until later.
Maybe find out where he lives and bring a crowbar.
Yeah, well, there's always that. You break his kneecap.
I think
Make
the Japanese
threats.
take offense to that.
But I don't know. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, sorry, Pat, the latency.
See you guys later.
See you guys later. Peace out.